everybody. Welcome to episode 327 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports Podcast family. What's going on, everybody? We're about 2/3 through the season. Fans are starting to get back in the building. Still have some playoff races that are going to go down the wire. It's a fun time in hockey right now. Lots of sports on tap, but let's check in with the boys first. Producer Mikey Grinelli at NYC. What's going on, my man?
What's going on, guys? Big week for me. I was featured in the Minnesota all hair team video this week. Pretty big accomplishment, so I was excited about that. And we also have the Pink Whitney Cup, so I'm excited. Big week.
I was trying to bury the lead there on you, G, making an appearance in the hair video, but congratulations on that. That was good stuff. If you haven't seen it yet, the Minnesota hair video, anyone who follows hockey should be familiar with it now. We'll tweet it out from the account.
Is it the same dude who was doing the peroxide Jesus early days guy?
Yeah.
You got featured in that?
Yeah.
Are they still cranking him out like the old times, or is he recycling a lot of the same phrases?
It's a little bit, but he's still killing it, man. He's awesome. I think it's John King is his name.
Okay, we got it. You got to post that stuff. You had to have watched those early days, Whit.
Yeah, I did. And I don't listen. I don't want to be Debbie Downer right off the bat, but I'm an honest guy. Like Grinelli, actually, one of my buddies said to me this week, Grinelli has the worst hair. I defended you. I defended you, but I didn't even think about it until I just heard that you're on this all hair video.
This is coming from Whit too. This is coming from Whit.
I got the worst bucket. But it was just this kid. This kid.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Does he have good hair? Does he have good hair? The guy that ripped on me.
No.
So then, fuck this guy. How can you even say that?
Dude, listen. This is so off topic. I'm happy for you. It's very funny. That's how this show just started. I was like, oh my god, that was 2 nights.
What kind of a list is this? Is what you're asking?
It was like, hey, Grinelli's hair is terrible, and then 40 hours later, we're recording, and boom, you're on the all hair team.
Hey, we should get him. We should get Grinelli a blowout. We should send him. You know those girls get the blowouts. We should send him to get one to see like what top notch, pure, nicest flow you can possibly have, and we got to get the people to rate it. Because like, listen, I'll be quite frank. Like, it was nothing that really ever popped out to me. Like, hey, he's got the fucking nice salad.
All right, fuck off. Both you guys can fuck right off. I have the best hair by far on this podcast.
Oh, okay,
so all
well,
you guys can do shit.
Well, yeah, you got a bald guy in the co-captains of the Afro team.
Hey, give me 3 more months to get out of this awkward phase, and I think I could outdo you.
No chance. No chance. You guys are creating a narrative that doesn't exist. I have gorgeous hair. Erica Fleischman does a great job on my hair.
Thin. Like I think it's like thin, but it's long.
Okay, Lundqvist. That's fucking hair.
Did you see Lundqvist release that picture of him and Kevin Weeks? He gave his first interview in about 5 months, I think he said.
How good did he look?
Poor Weeksy. I love Weeksy, but dude, he's standing next to. He looks as good as ever. Go check it out. It looks like maybe like he could be like an older James Bond.
He is fucking James Bond.
He does stop you in your tracks. Like when we had him in the camp of that time out in San Jose, it's like you catch yourself looking at him because he's such a handsome specimen.
Yeah, he's not human.
So sorry.
He's like he's a male version of a fembot. He was created in a lab.
They just fire bullets out their nipples. Those fembots.
I gotta get on his like tanning routine, man. He's just he's always got that perfect tan, not spray tan Whit.
No, his ain't
not
washing
burnt
off.
biz from the hikes, but
his ain't washing off in the shower. That tan's sticking for good.
No. It's like him and Chelios mastered the tan. How the heck did Chelios always look so fucking tanned?
I think he's just like a dark skinned.
Yeah, he's got the genetics help.
He's Greek,
right? Yeah, he's Greek. Yeah.
I just found out Greek has a different Easter. I guess.
Oh, really?
Greek, yeah, I guess
Orthodox Easter.
Yeah, I think it's like in a month or something, and I guess they just rip it up. I was told like lambs eating. I don't know. It sounds like a banger if you're Greek, but I just learned that as well. I'm being reminded of some
lamb eating.
I think they crush lamb.
Lisa, don't eat.
Oh, that's what's popping. What's the Easter?
But that was like kind of a throwaway comment from somebody. So maybe they were just totally guessing. Like, don't hold me to the Greek Orthodox meal.
Yeah. No, lamb's definitely involved.
Oh, it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's a huge Mediterranean food. Huge.
I'd love
Greek
to
food.
go to Greece.
Me too, man. I've never been.
I would love to.
The islands off the coast too, like Mykonos and is it Cyprus? I think.
I could picture RA there turning it into like his new Daytona, just ripping it up in the Greek islands, sailing.
Cancun was my spot, baby. Cancun.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not so young there now.
Well, I was young when I went there. I was young at one time.
It's Cancun Street in Daytona Beach, Biz. Don't let him fool you.
Yeah, Cancun, I went to four separate times. Although one of them was more like just someone had a cheap lodge, and so we flew down.
You're like the all-inclusive god. Guaranteed every trip you've been on, you've gone all-inclusive, correct?
No, not only that. Hedonism might have been my only all-inclusive. In the cruise too. The cruise we did, and when we got on the wrong boat because our boat left, and I dressed up in the leisure suit for the captain's dinner.
I don't know how.
I think I was too lenient on the cruise talk.
I don't know how many times I could say it on Spittin Chiclets. This has to be 15. If you go on a cruise, you're an absolute bag of trash. Those things are the worst. And I have some people I hold near and dear to my heart that love them, but I'll tell them you're trash for going on one.
Yeah, I went 93, 28 years ago. I haven't been on one. Actually, like, 04, I was on my buddy's wedding.
We're all thinking it. Wits just want to say it.
No, the people, people can go on them and enjoy them, but deep down they know they're trash.
You're cattle. You're just cattle on this big ship. You're going, dinner time. Y'all wait in line, wait for your dinner. Okay, what do you do now? Oh, I guess we got to go to the casino. Oh, it's the morning. Let's go by the pool. It's just like you just follow each other around to these like events on a shit. It's bizarro land, right?
Yeah, and then if you don't get back in time, that you'll get stuck on like 7 Mile Beach in like Grand Cayman or something if you don't hurry up back to the boat.
I'm pretty sure if I went on a cruise, I would actually be fine staying on that first stop.
Yeah.
See ya.
Jamaica.
I'm going to grab a hotel room, guys. I'll meet you back at the dock.
See you never.
I'll see you then. All right. Well, like I said, we have lots of popular sports events coming up.
No wonder Jack was like, fuck this shit. I'm out of here. He's like, nah, I'm good, man. Enjoy the cruise, Rose. I'm fucking dipping. I'm going to fuck the octopus down in the club below.
my octopus teacher better be careful there.
Yeah.
We got some converts on that. But like I was saying, we got lots of popular sports events coming up. So grab some Pink Whitney. It's great for the pregame and the after party. Head over to your local liquor store today to find Pink Whitney and the new 375 milliliter Mickey size bottle. I know Biz is a big fan of those. You're able to take them away. You can kind of sneak them in your pocket somewhere if you're going to church.
I brought a few over to Ray Whitney's house. He had us over for Easter. I got to we can't get into the golf talk just yet because there's going to be a lot at the back end, but we got to see Jordan Spieth, myself, Commodore, Ray.
Boy, I love that guy.
The two fuckers who ended up breaking our winning streak and the goddamn sandbagger. Because, hey, what a Commodore sandbagger.
Sandbagger.
Right?
Sandbagger. I wonder if they would have invited you over had we beaten them. But they were just like, pity, hey, Biz, come over for Easter.
I think they invited us. Bingo.
Yeah, because I can chirp you and wit. Come on over, have some steak or lamb.
The Wizard's wife kept mentioning, "Oh, that video was so great. I enjoyed it." So I was like, "Oh yeah, eh? What'd you like so much about it? Your lamb tastes like shit. All right, fuck you. We're out of here, Katie. We're going. We're leaving." No, we got sandbagged, but no, it was good seeing them, and we got to see Jordan Spieth win his first tournament since 2017. So that was cool. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it was a great Easter. What about you? Were you chasing the young guy around after hiding all the eggs, Whit?
Oh yeah, actually, tough moment for your boy Whit. So huge family gathering. It was probably the first time like everyone's been together. My wife has an enormous family. There's probably 30 kids there. And so everyone hadn't seen each other in over a year, right? And for the most part. And so we get in there and you're saying hi to everyone. It's so good to see you, catch up. And then I see like a small group of family members, including Bree, my wife, and they are just laughing. I'm like, this can't be good because they're kind of looking at me and laughing. They have a picture over there of the last Easter we were all together. I got the same outfit on. Oh, no. There's another picture of Christmas Eve. I got the same goddamn outfit on. I have no style. I got like 3 clothes. So I was just getting tortured for my get up. Probably some chirps towards the hair that I didn't even hear. So yeah, it was tough Easter overall for my ego, I'll say, just getting dominated by the whole entire family.
Should we get you a stylist?
I need a stylist. I need somebody to just send me so many clothes and then I'll try it on and keep what I like and I'll send it back. Just send me the label back so I don't have to go to FedEx or UPS because everyone knows it's
we'll get Bezos to come deliver it and pick
going
it up.
to FedEx and UPS, that's a tough errand when I get given that chore. It can take an hour and a half, right? So if you send me clothes, just send me clothes and I'll pick out what I want to keep and send back and then you charge me for what I keep.
You're saying like going there, filling out the label, waiting in the line, like all that business.
Dude.
Oh, it's the worst. It's the worst. Yeah.
Dude, it stinks.
That's one where you just keep pushing back.
And then it's 6 o'clock and there's a 400-person line.
Yeah, I'll do it next week. And next thing you know, it takes a couple months. Yeah. No, I hate the label shit.
The only good thing is the FedEx sells like candy and stuff now. It's great. You go up there, there's M&Ms you can at least snack on while you're waiting in a 30-minute line to send a T-shirt back.
That's why they do it. It's like the movie theater. They just kind of rope you in. We're talking about the cattle again.
Yep. I'm basically a cruise goer when it comes to FedEx.
There you go.
Do you get any Easter chirps, Whit, about like the ears, maybe like part of a costume somewhere? Oh, here's the bunny here.
I get chirps about the ears every single day, RA. It doesn't matter if it's Easter. It doesn't matter if it's Mickey Mouse National Holiday. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas. People are coming at me about the ears. I've learned to really accept it. What are you going to do? I was born with these ears. They kind of make me who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Just own it. That's all. Wasn't a
Actually, speaking of owning it, sorry, all right.
That's all right.
Did you see that little prank Strahan pulled, Michael Strahan?
Oh, that he got his teeth fixed?
Weird.
You can't pre-plan an April Fool's joke. He planned it like 3 days ahead. It's like, dude, April Fool's got to just be, you can't like try to set it up weeks in advance. Has to be all done that day.
I feel like people still like to participate and make it a thing, and a lot of times it's landing flat. Is that the feeling, RA? The April Fool's jokes?
I think at this stage of the game, we're all a little bit older. It's kind of irrelevant. I mean, unless you work with younger kids or young kids at some point. But I mean, the only April Fool's thing I even heard was one of the local stations said Julian Edelman got traded for a third rounder, which didn't even seem like an implausible thing. And then later I was told, it was just an April Fool's joke, which I don't know. It just seems kind of played out. I think if you're fucking 10 years old, sure.
That's our age. We're just like buzzkills. We don't no fun for anybody.
Nah, we're a lot of fun. It's just, I don't know.
April I'm fun. Fools. You guys bring me down and make me know. You guys bring me down.
Well, speaking of fun, like this week, not a ton of huge news. Obviously, we'll get to it in a few minutes. So we figured we'd bring on one of our awesome guests. This was a relatively new interview. We had Shayne Corson on a few weeks ago. He was outstanding. We're not bringing him on right now. Bringing him on a little later, but we figured with a little bit of lack of news this week, we want to bring a slobber knocker of an interview out. So Shayne Corson, it's classic. It's going to be
slobber knocker.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Google it. Learn it.
Sounds like a move Lisa Ann would pull off.
I know what slobber knocker is. Is that like how you describe something great?
I don't know.
Besides a blowjob?
I was saying that's like a Lisa Ann term or some shit.
And that's a non
slobber knocker meaning.
That's like what he's got in his Google search.
Noun, slobber knocker. A violent collision experienced by a person, a violent physical confrontation. That was a real slobber knocker of a football game. So I'll take it. Right? Yeah, Shayne Corson played that style of hockey.
Yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking of because he had a slobber knocker.
And he gives a hell of a rinse.
Slobber. It's not even on. What are you on dictionary.com with?
To perfection. What
are you on dictionary.com?
I just Googled it and then it popped up Wiktionary.org.
Oh God. Yeah, no, I don't even know if it's a real word.
Shayne Corson was unreal. You guys are really going to enjoy that one. This guy's as old school as they get, and I'm glad to hear he's doing really well. And fuck, what a guy!
Great stories.
Oh my goodness,
some epic stuff. He played in quite the era, and you guys are going to definitely enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to the day I get to have beers with this guy and just hear the old school wrestling stories.
Yeah, he might be next time he's in Boston. I might have to go and have a couple pops with him. But all right, boys, let's go take a look at the old NHL action. The Central Division, we got to give props to Florida. They had a 4-0 week since we last talked. Won 6 straight to take over the division lead. Defenseman Aaron Ekblad, he's going to be out 12 weeks after successful surgery on the left leg fracture, which I guess is pretty good news considering the way he went down. It looked like we might not see him for a long time. And who knows, 12 weeks, depending on how Florida does, we could potentially see him early in the summer. BC goalie Spencer Knight, he signed his entry-level deal with the Panthers after completing his sophomore season. He was one of the Hobie finalists this year. You know how they have the list of 10, then they whittle it down to 3. He was on that list of 10. He was taken 13th overall in the 2019 draft. And Sergei Bobrovsky's 500th game, which he actually played last year, they celebrated it Saturday night. It was actually pretty cool. Each player's nameplate in the office was spelled in Cyrillic, the Russian language there. Wait, Cyrillic. And it had number 500 on it. But the teammates got him a safari to Tanzania for a gift in Africa.
Oh, my goodness. I would love to go on a safari.
Wow.
Yeah, would you ever go? Oh, 100%.
I would definitely do that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to.
I mean, I went on the Disney World one, which is actually legit, but it was a 10-minute ride, 54-minute wait.
No. We're not comparing Disneyland to the safari.
Well, listen, buddy. They had these 3 monster lions that are full blown, be the same size as the real safari you go on in Africa, that were staring over at the. I think it was elephant. The elephants had a baby. The thing's just hunting, looking down at the baby. So I saw like safari-esque. I obviously want to do the real thing, the big bang, the Africa trip. The flight is a monster, though. I'm not sure about the flight. I think 15, 16 hours, maybe. I've
done Australia, so I could go to Africa.
Yeah,
but I would. All right, you would definitely do a safari?
100%. I still have only been to Europe once. I was at Ireland. I still haven't really been that far. That's the farthest east I've gone from New England. I would love to go to an African safari, man. That would be unreal to check out.
I think elephants probably one of the most underrated animals. Would you say that's a fair statement? Like how intelligent they are. They don't get enough credit.
I think people who shoot elephants should get shot and then fucking put next to the dead elephant and then have a picture taken with them. No doubt. No need to fucking shoot them. They should get butt fucked
with one of the tusks from the other elephants. And then
I want to say that there's like elephants can be kind of looked at as like not the king. The king's the lion, but I think there's elephants are high up there in terms of the respect level in the jungle. Elephants, like, dude, these guys have been around a while. They're monsters. They drag their family around, and if you mess with them, they'll stomp your head in. So I'm not positive, but I think there's something telling me elephants are very, very respected.
I would say that they could compete for king of the jungle. Although,
I just said that. Yeah. Minus the lions.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Does a lion end up killing an elephant in a bare knuckle brawl?
Gorilla's up there too. Isn't Gorilla king of the jungle?
Well, the lions don't actually live in the jungle, which is kind of funny. They get called the king of the jungle, but they're more live on like the plains.
I'm Googling elephants respect level.
Everybody seems to think that grizzly bears are very underrated as well, as far as in the animal fighting kingdom. We should do like a bracket of who of the animals fighting each other. So gorilla, one of the types of gorillas would for sure be in there. You got to put grizzly bear. You got to put. Do you put a lion and a tiger?
No, I'd probably go the lion over the tiger.
Like, is there some crazy type of tiger that has like a black belt and shit?
No, not that I'm aware of. Bengal tiger's cool looking.
Adult elephants spend 16 hours a day eating. They require up to 300 kilograms of food and 160 liters of water each day. And here's the one thing that I think really leads into my idea of them being top notch. Yeah. The African elephant has the largest brain in the animal kingdom. It can weigh up to 5 kilograms. This is amazing when you consider how much does an elephant weigh. Asian elephants weigh about 5,400 kilograms, and African elephants weigh up to 6,000 kilograms! The human brain, however, is larger when measured as a proportion of our total body weight. So maybe they're not as smart as I'm giving them credit for. But God, those old leathery skin looking, tusk wearing, big ass snout, fucking shitting, walking around. Well, I love elephants.
There's a saying too, memory like an elephant. I think that they have the best memories as far as any animals.
Stortini used to yell that at people. I got a memory like an elephant. Enough. I remember it.
Yeah, maybe
that was McIntyre who yelled that.
What they do, because I've seen it, like they might have met somebody years prior, and then they'll get their trunk and they can like smell their hand, and they recognize like somebody from their smell like 20 years later or something. Okay. Yeah, highly intelligent animals. So stop fucking shooting them, you weirdos. And all kinds of other.
We can agree on
animals. That. We can't agree on that.
What team were we talking about?
We were talking about the Florida Panthers. Wow, funny enough, we were talking about the big cats. I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to add.
No, I mean, Barkov's back off the injury. He right back in the lineup being dominant. I think he had a goal and an apple the other game. Dmitry Filipovic posted like all the highlights from the game. He's just such a bizarre player to watch. Not a lot of guys do it like he does it, and it's just like it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I think that after Bobrovsky's start, I think at one point I called him the worst goalie in the NHL on this show this season, right? Things have turned around. And then the news about Ekblad's brutal, but quickly already, I was like, oh, this could be a year. So when I saw three months, it was like, oh, wow, that's good. But still, it's like such a bummer. But that team, I mean, they're continuing to win. And the thing about that entire division is I actually think more than any other division in the league, that benefits you the most finishing first. because every other division, you're still playing, like you may get Montreal in the North. Like in the Central Division, if it's Tampa or Florida, you're either going against Nashville or Dallas. Those are the two teams I think fighting for the fourth spot. Or if you're second, you're getting Carolina, right?
Yeah, it's tough.
Carolina, I don't want to play Carolina.
No.
Get them away from me first round. So that division, Dallas and Nashville, will definitely be a big-time underdog against whoever wins it.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's. Do you think Florida, without Ekblad and without making a move for a guy on the back end, do you think that they're going to be able to win that division?
I don't know, man. I would have said no. I didn't even think they were going to make the playoffs, and now they're a point up. I think they got a game in hand. Tampa does, but they're a couple points up on them. I mean, what's to say that they're going to slow down, especially if Bobrovsky's now heating up?
Would you make a move for a defenseman if you're Florida right now?
I would try to do something, and people have mentioned that like they could possibly actually shop Drieger. I don't know if I'm saying the goalie's name correctly. I apologize, but I don't think so, because who knows? You're buyers now. You got to keep that safety net, and I think that like if you look at getting a D-man, I'm looking into every possible option if I'm the GM there, Zito. But there's not as much options out there for defense.
Nothing.
There's
somebody
a lot
said
of,
somebody
there's
threw
a
out
lot
the
of
name
forward
Edler.
options.
Somebody said Alex Edler, but I don't even know.
Vancouver, they all have COVID right now.
Yeah,
that's like a totally different situation. Yeah, I mean, go ahead. All right, sorry.
I don't know if you want to trade Drieger. I mean, obviously, like you said, Bob's been playing a lot better lately, but Drieger on the year, 11-4, 205 goals against, a 931 save percentage. I mean, he's arguably been the number one goalie for that squad. So I don't know that trading them is something that you'd want to do.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a bind though, because it's going to be tough to get out of that division. Having to go through, like, especially if you don't finish first, if you got to try to beat Carolina and then Tampa to get out alive. I don't know. I think you got to do something. You got to make a move for someone on the back end if you can even get anyone.
One of you guys just mentioned Carolina and Peter Mrazek come back. Did you guys happen to see the press release that Carolina came out with? They copied the style of Michael Jordan when he came back in to the Bulls in like 95, just a 2-word thing. It said, "I'm back." I mean, it's pretty funny, kind of ballsy too, to like copy Jordan, but he comes back. Peter Mrazek,
no pressure.
Gets a shutout in his first start since January 30th. All 3 wins this year he's had. He's been injured, obviously. All 3 of his wins have been shutouts so far this year. So I guess he can put whatever he wants in a statement if he keeps putting up donuts like that.
Yeah, that's legit. You have to look at Reimer's done a good job there.
Yeah.
I mean, like when Mrazek went down, you were kind of like wondering what was going to happen with that team, even though their offense is so good. And then now that Mrazek's back, it's just like, all right, we got through that time. We're okay. Who was the young kid? I can't think of his name. That was great.
The goalie?
Yeah.
Nedeljkovic. Yeah.
Nedeljkovic. So, yeah, him and Reimer really carried the load.
I was questioning their goaltending coming in. That was the one thing I used against them. So every time they just start lighting it up, I get a bunch of
So then the goalie acting like Michael Jordan's probably kind of proving you wrong.
Yeah, just stuff it up your hoop, Biz.
We got to definitely dap up the Nashville Predators. They've won 7 of 8, 9 of their last 11. They catapulted in the 4th place. Roman Josi's just been playing out of his mind. But this kid, Eli Tolvanen, we've been hearing about him for quite a while. He's finally now a regular in the lineup. 10 goals, 9 assists in 30 games. Kid's been getting it done. And also their goaltending. Pekka Rinne started off. He was struggling quite a bit, but he's rounded out his game nicely. And UC Saros, he was always kind of the, let's see, the next guy in line. What's the word I'm thinking of? The successor. It's Pekka Rinne. He's been playing out of his tits this year, 11-7 with a 2.27, 9.28. Nashville, this is a team we were pronouncing dead, talking about coaching changes, free agent, front office changes, and now they're right back in the thick of the race here, Biz.
So that kid you just mentioned, they weren't playing him enough early on. He came over from overseas, right? And
Tolvanen,
yeah, Tolvanen, and when I was at Easter brunch with Wiz and the guys, I think Donor even mentioned it. He's like, yeah. Once they figured out how good this kid was, and they started giving him regular ice and slotting him in the right place, things started turning around. And they maybe had some guys early on who were really struggling. Like Johansson's been playing a little bit better as of late as well. So their depth at center ice is helping them. So overall they are humming right now, and good to see this young guy finally getting the time he deserves.
Yeah, and I think it was mentioned before, but Ekholm all but certain won't be traded now. He was the one D-man that a lot of people were talking about. But yeah, it's good that they've picked it up. And I think it was last episode we did say, that shows Topoil's patience and why sometimes you as many fans scream, fire the coach, get rid of him. It's like you can wait it out and look like a fool, or it can turn around exactly like you pictured it would. And I think that's kind of the case right now, where he's looking at the roster like, we are so much better than how we're playing. At some point, this has to switch and turn for us. And it has.
Some other news here. Sunday night, Rick Bowness, coach at Dallas, he actually left the game after the second period due to COVID protocols. He has been vaccinated. He's got both the shots per their GM, Jim Nill, but they think it was a false positive, but out of safety concerns, he was pulled. Just, this is the stuff the players in the league have been coping with. But I've never seen a coach not return for the third period. They did end up losing the game. They were losing when he left. Assistant John Stevens took over. Dallas, though, they're not out of it either. They still got 3 games in hand on Chicago and Nashville. We've mentioned before, they've had the COVID issues, but 5 points back of a playoff spot, 3 games in hand. We'll see what goes on there. Whit, you ever see anything like that? A coach not finishing a game in the NHL?
No. I mean, besides getting kicked out of the game by a ref, no, I don't remember that. I don't know. The whole COVID situation is just like, it's really hard to figure out. It looks so good in Canada. All of a sudden, Vancouver's had this crazy outbreak, and you understand if something's going on, whether it's a false test or not, it's like just safe than sorry. But I don't ever remember a coach just shutting it down in the middle of the game, unless you're talking about the varsity Blues coach. What was his name? Bud?
Yeah, Bud Kilmer.
He was a prick, and then they booted him. They booted him when they were trying to put the needle in what's his name's elbow or whatever it was. That whipped cream bikini. Knee. That was it the running back?
Yeah. You shut your mouth if you knew it was good for you.
Billy
Bob.
What
he says?
Billy Bob. I don't know, but that's the last time a coach hasn't finished a game.
Okay. A little Varsity Blues dig. That's an old school one.
There's a lot of great scenes in them.
The whipped cream bikini. Are you shitting me?
The teacher who came out to strip.
Oh yeah. She saw all the boys.
That's a Chris Drury sandpaper finish, rounded toe.
That's pattern.
That's a pattern right there.
Oh, shit.
She was a missile launcher.
Columbus Blue Jackets, they've lost 7 of 8, just 1 point in those 8 games, fallen down in the standings in the Central Division. Jack Roslovic was a health bomb on Saturday. He only had 2 points his previous 6 games. He did return to the lineup Sunday, had 2 shots on goal in a little over 12 minutes. But the real big news out of Columbus was from Brandon Dubitsky this week. He is on long-term injured reserve, but he's still a part of the Columbus organization. He went on the Garage Beers podcast this week and basically had some words for Sid. I'll take Ovi every day of the week. I would never ask Sid for a stick ever. Fuck Sid, he said. Obviously, he's had a rivalry with him. They played quite a bit over the years. He said, quote, Sid just whined way too much and Ovi just shut up and played hard. Actually, he tweeted that. Again, these guys have a history, but this is unusual for, it's technically active play. I know he's injured reserve and probably
he might have got into the whiskey that night, before he took over the tour.
Maybe he had a few garage beers before he got on.
Yeah, nose beers. Whit, I'll let you take it first.
Nose bull vodkas. Listen, I actually think maybe I've met Dubitsky. I actually met him at Muirfield. He doesn't give a fuck. He could have been dead sober. He's got plenty of money. Now, I wasn't really that surprised. Everyone was so shocked. I guess that he openly said it, but those two hate each other.
Yeah, they hate each other.
I'm not saying anything off the ice. I'm just talking from those series. There was dirty hits. They were going after each other. There was no holds bars, chirping. So Dubitsky obviously hates Sid. Now the question is if you asked, 1,000 or 100,000 hockey fans out there, who's better? Who would you take, Crosby or Ovechkin? I think it's 60-40 Sid, but I think it's close, right?
Yeah.
He kind of came out the next day and was like, hey, I picked Ovechkin. I don't know. You put up their numbers, and yes, it's very close. Now, right away, I'm a Crosby guy. It's well, he's played 160 less games, and they have the same amount of points. 160 games with Sid's number is 180 points, I think, or 190 points. So that's how many he would be ahead of him. But right, health's part of it.
Health's part of it.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. So I think that being a Crosby guy, I'm openly aware that if you talk in history, there will be people who would rather have had Ovi, right? Or am I crazy?
I think if you're a general manager and you could go back after seeing the entire body of work, I would say a far more number of people like intelligently on the hockey side of it would pick
Crosby.
Sid.
Yeah, no, I'm saying fans though.
Oh, well, fans, it's different because like going back to what he was talking about, it's like, I think Sid's been pretty open about the fact that, yeah, early on, he was definitely complaining a lot too much to officials. But keep in mind, he went from playing in the Quebec Major Junior League to now playing in a league that where it was still kind of accepting. Dude, if fucking McDavid was getting the treatment that Crosby was when he came into the league,
dude.
People would be losing their minds.
That sounds like we sound like old men yelling at cloud, but Crosby was getting absolutely dummied behind the play. And granted, he would like create a lot of physical contact, but people would elbow him in the face and wasn't called. It was like at the beginning, he's like, I'm getting abused.
Let's put it this way. I bet you Dubitsky would probably even admit to being like, yeah, I was playing to fucking try to put him out. He might even admit to that. Right. That's like a mindset. Like, well, he was taking runs at him, like anything to get his head out of the game. Listen, maybe I judged it too far, and he wasn't trying to like not injure him, but like trying to knock him out, like trying to fucking get him with a good clean pop. Is that a fair? That's probably a fair comment. And fucking, that's a pretty dark way to approach the game, and I don't think a lot of guys approach it like that as much like that anymore. On one side, I'm like, well, fuck, if I'm the player who's got to put the puck in the back of the net and I got to deal with this guy chasing me around trying to take my fucking head off, yeah, I'm probably going to be barking to an official a little bit more than I normally should, right? But as his career has progressed, I think that he's eased up on that, but also the league has gone in a completely different direction to where, to a better degree, do they protect their stars? Would you agree that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I still don't think they do a good enough job.
Okay, that's a fair comment, but it was a bit more no holds bar. If a guy was skating around the ice trying to treat McDavid in a playoff series the way that Dubitsky was chasing around Sid,
it'd be different.
It would be different. So it's just like there's so much like hate there that boiled over from them competing. I mean, I don't think Sid gives a fuck what Dubitsky thinks and vice versa. But yeah, it was definitely interesting to hear him go public with it. And just by thinking about it this past week, do you think it's a pretty fair assessment of how I broke it down?
Yeah, that was good. I just in looking at the argument of Crosby versus Ovechkin, it's like a center versus a winger, like amazing goal scorer, but Sid really didn't take any nights off. And like Ovi, as amazing as it was, and some of these nights off, Ovi probably scored, but Sid never really had those clips of like early in the career, like just not back checking. It wasn't the case. So
bingo.
Getting to experience it and play with it is obviously makes me very biased, cha-ching. And I think that watching Ovechkin like the last like 10 years as opposed to the first like whatever it was 6 or 7, it's definitely changed, where I think he actually takes way less nights off than he used to when he was younger. So it's a great argument, but certainly Dubitsky has reason to hate playing against Sid. And those series that they played, I don't know how many times Columbus played Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh didn't lose to them, but they kicked the shit out of each other, and they didn't have much left moving forward. I don't think either one of the Penguins Cups, the back-to-back years they played Columbus. I could be way off on that. Watch this. It's going to be both times.
But it was, yeah. And also the Rangers stuff too. Cause I mean, he's one of the few guys that make Sid actually drop his gloves and fight. And also there was the highlight with Hank Lundqvist where Sid kind of gave Hank just a little bit of a whack, but enough that, he's going to get defended by his teammates, and Dubitsky was the first one in on him there. So anyways, thanks for the clickbait all week, Dubitsky. It's been good.
I don't want to take anything away from Dubitsky as a player, though. I thought he was a fucking hell of a player, and he's at his best. Definitely a very overlooked guy, but he went to war every night, and I got a lot of respect for his game. Now, going back to the people, I think recency bias has a little bit to do with it, and the fact that like Ovi has won the last cup. He's kind of like that fun-loving guy you're seeing in these clips in the hallway. Like, he's a beauty. He's one of the boys. But yeah, in the early days, he didn't sacrifice, I think, enough for the betterment of the team, and maybe took nights off. So it was a little easier to be more critical of him early on as opposed to maybe now.
Just one last footnote on that too. Buddy Jeff Marek tweeted that when Crosby was on their podcast, 31 Thoughts, he said he regretted complaining to the refs so much early in his career. So chuck that in there as well. But all right, gang. Times are tough, and worrying about your student loan payments doesn't make things any easier. That's where refinancing with Earnest could help. Earnest offers low-rate student loan refinancing, and you can check your rate risk-free in just 2 minutes. With Earnest, you get radically flexible payments, and you can pick your loan term. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real live human at Earnest for help. Isn't it time you stopped feeling overwhelmed by your student debt? Right now, Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. If you refinance your student debt at earnest.com/chiclets, get a $100 cash bonus. Not available in all states. Terms and conditions apply. Visit earnest.com/chiclets for more details. Terms and conditions apply. Earnest student loan refinancing made by Earnest Operations, LLC, NMLS number 1204917. California financing law license number 6054788, 303 2nd Street, Suite 401N, San Francisco, California, 94107. Visit earnest.com/licenses for a full list of licenses. Check that out by all means. Student loan stuff will get you driven crazy. If you can consolidate it, by all means, you want to do it. What's up, Biz?
When we talked about Columbus, we got sucked into the Dubitsky thing. As far as the team's concerned, oh man, I thought they were going to be like that undercover team coming in, but that Dubois trade is looking even worse and worse as the days go on. They are so thin up the middle. They don't have anything close to a first line center, and they're getting destroyed. They can't produce offense at all now. Laine's been I don't want to say he's been a dog. He's just like it seems like the whole team's been stripped of their confidence.
Yeah, Laine, dude, that's not. I don't think Dubois been at his best in Winnipeg, but there's like compete level there that you really don't see from Laine. He had another turnover Sunday. It just led directly to a goal. It's like there's just so many times that guy, and now Torts obviously probably can't stand him. And you can tell there's already been friction there. The team isn't doing well. I don't think Torts will be back, right? His contract ends. It's like, then what are we doing with Laine here? You got to figure what's going to happen there. There's just so many different questions. It just turned out that it wasn't their season. And when you look at the GM, he's the last guy I blame, Kekalainen, and he's done a lot of great things there. And you can't help it when all these guys want to leave. He's bringing good players, and a lot of them don't want to stay. So what are you going to do? I mean, I think that you got to look this year, maybe a new coach next year. And I don't even know if Torts wants to go back, right? Like, who knows? That guy's getting older. He's coached for such a long time. Does he still want to be an NHL coach? I think he'll have a job if he wants one. I mean, it seems like he's never going away.
Shit, I got tagged. I forgot to put it in the outline. Someone found an old story about Torts the night the Tampa Bay won the Cup. He drove home alone. He didn't know that there was a party going on, the party that I crashed. I guess like nobody said anything to him. Like, I don't know if it was deliberate, if it was like a freeze out or just it was an oversight.
He won the Cup and just drove home alone?
The night he won the Cup, he said he had no idea there was a party upstairs because it was like a restaurant kind of sort of hidden room.
No idea there was a party after the Cup.
Yeah, he said I drove home alone, and that was it because somebody tagged me in it, and like basically, how the fuck did you find out about this party? And that's the funny part because I was blackout drunk across the street, and I still got in the building and still found out where the party was. And this guy coached the team, and no one fucking told him where it was. So I kind of felt bad for the guy. I was like, shit.
Another Cup party story. RA goes to his Tortorella's. You basically were there in his honor.
They thought I was an undercover boss. I like the CBS show. Like, oh,
RA was blacked out, but he had his little pass on. He had the Tortorella pass. That's why he didn't fucking find out about it.
One of my life's great mysteries, finding out how I got back in that building. But a few minutes ago, boys, we did mention the Vancouver Canucks, absolutely decimated by COVID. They right now, as of recording time, 16 players on the protocol list. They've had 4 games postponed. Some guys have needed IV treatment. Some have said to be in, quote, rough shape. They are set to return Thursday versus Calgary. They've got a bunch of games rescheduled. They haven't played since March 24th. But we do want to acknowledge, though, before they did get ravaged with COVID, Canucks head equipment guy Pat O'Neill worked his 3,000th game. I believe that's the second guy this season who's worked 3,000 games as an equipment guy. That's a hell of a long time to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Unreal run. The Canucks also extended goalie Thatcher Demko with a 5-year extension worth $25 million. I mean, we talked about this kid at the end of last season with looking like the potential future goaltender. And Braden Holtby, who they did sign this previous offseason, he's got 1 year left at $4.3 million. he could end up a couple hours south next year should Vancouver leave him exposed, and Seattle could scoop him up, even though he has a modified no trade clause. He does not have a no move clause, so he could be left exposed. So could have ended up being a good move for them, even though Holtby's been struggling a bit this year. But either way, the Canucks didn't play this week. The league is going to move the schedule up. They were supposed to finish March 8th. They've pushed up to March 11th. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes even further than that, because they do kind of get some free wiggle time to play with here. So
yeah, there's also a chance that you don't see Vancouver play the full schedule this year. It sounds kind of crazy, but they're also talking about, for the first time ever, starting the playoffs. They could start the American divisions before the Canadian division. And the NBA has always done that, where they'll start a second round series when there's first round series still going on. The NHL has always started clean, where everything has to be done before they begin the next round. And this year will probably change. So it's crazy to think how many guys have it there.
Yeah, obviously we wish everybody well there. I mean, we have fun and poke fun with Vancouver once in a while, but we hate to see this type of situation. So get well, guys. We're going to see you back out in the ice. Toronto Maple Leafs, boys, we got to keep stroking them. If they keep winning like this, 3 wins in a row, extended their lead from 2 points to 6 points in the last week. Jack Campbell, I guess you got to say he's taken over the number one role, 8-0 record in 8 appearances. Austin Matthews' 25th goal the other night. He's just the third U.S.-born player to score 25 goals in each of his first 5 seasons. Only Bobby Carpenter and Mike Modano have done that. And Alex Galchenyuk got his first as a Leaf, too. Biz, you're like our Leafs correspondent here. What do you got for us, buddy?
I told you guys, don't worry. They're going to figure this thing out. They went through a little blip, boom, back. Give them the cup now. There's no way they don't make it out of that North Division. I'd put my fucking life savings on it. They are humming. Love the squad. I still think they're going to add Taylor Hall. They're going to make wiggle room. They're going to wave off the cap for the Leafs. That's how much they've done for the league. But they look fucking awesome. I'm so happy for my buddy Jack Campbell. Myrtle from the Athletic, he wrote an article. I think it just came out today. He called me about it, and basically for like my experience and seeing what I saw in the minors. And I think I've briefly touched on it before, but he came over from Dallas. I think he was drafted, you said 11th overall, Whit.
Yeah, he's like I read that article. It's awesome. Like, he's like a broken man, not even just hockey player.
Yeah, I think that from just talking to Myrtle, it was kind of the situation where, growing up, you were always like, you were on this this path to just like, be a young starter in the NHL, like getting wins, like winning.
He never had one moment where he wasn't just tracking up the hill, like no sort of what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't want to say
interference.
I was going to say I don't want to say adversity, because
exactly.
There are enough guys who like get to a certain level where they don't face that, just because they're just like superior athletes and they just figured it out mentally, and it's just like they're the best and they just go all the way to the top, and that does happen. Well, in some cases it maybe takes a little bit longer than normal, and in some cases like it just fucks with you to the extreme. And I think that that's what happened. And then Dallas basically gave him away for nothing to the Kings organization. And he got down to the AHL, and Dusty Eemu was like, hey, like, forget all that shit. Like, this is where you are. Let's just fucking put the work in. And obviously before that a little bit, they became friends. He didn't necessarily just dive in like about the hockey stuff. He more wanted to earn his trust.
Dude, they went to Van.
Yeah.
And for 7, he ended up staying a week, and for 7 days they didn't even really talk hockey. They just he wanted to know who he was. He wanted to know about his life. They went, what's that hike? The Grouse
Grind.
Yeah. So they were doing that. I think that's really interesting part of the whole story, is that it wasn't just like hockey. It was like, I'm going to like get to know this guy as a human.
Right.
It sounds like kind of corny, but it's like, I need to know who he is and like where he is mentally, like where does he come from in life? And then you start realizing like what he's going through goaltending wise doesn't really have much to do with the game of hockey.
Exactly.
It's more about his outside life and his expectations and feeling like a failure. And I was just blown away. And then you think about like, he still has all that talent that had him drafted. I mean, he's one of the highest picked goalies in 25 years. So he still has that talent where all of a sudden, if you're able to clean up his head, and goalies, it can be so mental. And all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, this guy, he still has that talent that was why he was picked so high.
Yeah.
And he's reached that level now. I didn't understand like how much he had to grind in the minors. Like I thought he kind of was playing for LA right away. Like with Ontario, that was the big reason why it came all back to him.
Yeah, and remember, so the year before, Peter Budaj had happened to, and Dusty Eemu was with him in the Winnipeg organization. He was in St. John, and he was helping him. But I think Boods was still a little bit pissed off because he'd been like an NHL solid backup for so long, and all of a sudden he was in the AHL in the jungle because he got put on waivers. And I think his attitude led him to maybe have a tough season. Dude, he didn't win a game there. So when Dusty Eemu ended up getting back with him in Ontario, I think at that point in time, he was able to get through to him. In the similar regard, he earned his trust, and then he just explained to him, he's like, hey, if you're going to allow all that stuff that happened to you that was, that you think was bullshit, continue to bother you, it's going to bother you and it's going to affect your performance. And he was able to help him out. So I was there for the whole season. So I was seeing it. I didn't poke my head in too much, but you could clearly see that it's like the guy won goalie of the year in the AHL. He went on this fucking insane run. So then the following year, they had to share the net a little bit. So part of it was also juggling, saying like, hey, you're not going to get the same amount of starts, but you guys it's going to be good because if you get to the next level, you'll probably have to be doing that anyway, yeah, exactly, where you're sharing the net, right? So look at it from a positive standpoint, and it just worked. And then I saw Dusty Eemu as well help Jack. Once again, did so from a distance because you don't want to poke your head in too much because you don't want to fuck up a good thing that's going on because you could see it happening.
And they're like, keep Biz away from this guy. If anyone could take him down, it's Biz.
Yeah, bingo. But you try to respect the distance. But it was awesome to see. So he became an all-star that year, Jack Campbell, and he had an unreal year, and that propelled him to then be trusted by LA to step in and then be his backup to Quickie. And they've had to juggle their goalie situation because they got Cal Peterson, who's another young stud. So, they felt Jack Campbell was the one that could be accessible, and he ends up with the Leafs. There's a little bit of struggling going on, and it's like, man, I think his time is now.
He's the new number one there. He's 8-0.
8-0. So I'm sorry for rambling on, but it was just very cool to see how he was able to get his head fixed, and now it's leading to all this success. So check out that article. It goes more in depth with Dusty Eemu, but he's done an incredible job with a few guys. Biz,
is it true that you gave him the nickname Ned Flanders when you were his teammate?
So I don't know how many guys were actually calling him that. I just kind of joked around about it because he's just like so nice all the time that I'm like, yo, one day this guy's just gonna pop, like jokingly, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you saw the Ned Flanders episode, right? Just you see it?
Yes.
Oh,
look, someone
the episode or just like see him being called that.
No, well, in the episode to kind of like where he's like niddly diddly, and then he's just like boom because he ends up popping because it's like there's no way somebody could be possibly this nice, but Jack Campbell is actually that nice.
Because one of our listeners thought you might have been sandbagging me on Simpsons references from way back in the day, even before Chiclets.
No, everyone here would also always give you the shout out if it's a Simpsons reference going on.
You guys missed one at the top of the show, but that's all right.
I'll miss a lot of them, but there was an era where I was paying attention to Simpsons. There was like a 5-year stretch there. My sister used to watch it religiously, so I just watched it with her.
Yeah, like I don't know what, it might have been late Friday night on FXX. There was like a season 4. They did like 10 episodes in a row, and it's like the season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's just like I said before, some of the best TV ever made. You get yourself caught for 2-3 hours watching a bunch of great classic episodes.
I don't know where my maturity level was at the time where those were coming out, but I would probably laugh out loud a few times an episode, where now I don't crack a smile.
Yeah, well, that's why you got to watch the old ones. So our buddy Connor McDavid, a little out of character. He got fined $5,000 for elbowing Jesperi Kotkaniemi at center ice during the Edmonton-Montreal game the other night. I was pretty shocked by it. I mean, I know he's frustrated. The team was having a rough game, but I don't know if Kotkaniemi might have done something off camera we didn't catch before, but were you surprised to see Connie with the old chicken wing?
I mean, not really. I think he's a little frustrated. I think it's only 2 points in 4 games this year versus the Canadians. So they've actually been the only team able to hold him and Draisaitl back a little bit. And maybe that's part of it, but I didn't think it was the other angle of the hit. It's not as bad as it looks from when you're behind McDavid. It looks like he caught him right in the head. So I definitely understood why there was a fine, but people yelling and screaming for suspensions, it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a suspension or anything like that, but just not something you usually see him do. So, anyways, he got fined $5,000 for
What
it.
did you think, Biz?
Yeah, I mean, fucking, I don't know. Twitter was popping about it. Some people thought that he deserved to get sussied.
What did you think?
I thought fuck, I don't know. He seemed like he was frustrated at someone. He fucking got him with a high hit. I think that people tend to sell those a little bit these days. So no, I don't think he should have been suspended. I think a fine's fine. I think that fucking goon Mckinnon should be suspended.
That was the biggest sell job by Garland. He threw his head up when his helmet hit him.
Dude, that
Garland had an
out of the league.
Just like it was like he blew up when the helmet.
I'm signing a fucking PTO, McKinnon. I hope you hear this, you sandbagging son of a bitch. I'm coming after you for the bucket toss. $5,000 for that. Puh. He's got that in his ashtray.
Well worth it. The kid from Iceland.
Yeah, and that, we jumped ahead there, Biz. But yeah, you said I saw you put the Twitter poll out. Who's the biggest goon in the NHL? McDavid or McKinnon?
I didn't see that.
Okay, so to like not be joking around about it anymore. Like when I saw it, I was like, okay, that's fucking funny. The fact that he did it, and it was an underhand, so it was more harmless. And I know I'm a Coyotes worker, so I should be like, no. But as far as suspension's concerned, I'm like, fuck that. We need him playing against other teams, collecting points, and he did. He helped out in the first game against St. Louis. I think he had 2 tucks, and he might even had a goal and an apple in the next one. And they scored in the last 40 seconds. So now the Coyotes are sitting pretty because of him. 3 points into a playoff spot. Yow!
That was an amazing scenario, though, just to see the helmet go flying and then Garland blowing up. It was amazing. I was like, holy shit. You could tell it was underhand, and I don't think he meant to get it that high, but he was still like, oh, fuck him.
A little bit of mustard on it. I mean, nobody wants to catch a helmet off the face like that.
McKinnon's got a short wick, man. He's fucked up. That was in a 9-3 win. Like, what's he so bent out of shape about it? A 9-3 taking run at guys. He's fucking nuts, man.
Yeah, and he was given a double minor for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct in addition to the $5,000 fine, too.
Garland probably chirped his swing. He's a golf nut. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm going to tell him to now. I'm going to give him some ammunition. Tell him to keep crying.
Biz, some other great fireworks. Saturday night, Brady Tkachuk took on Shea Weber, man. Like, that's a ballsy thing for a young kid to take on. Weber doesn't fight as much anymore because he doesn't need to. But, I mean, he wasn't going to take any shit there, Brady, and they ended up dropping the gloves. I mean, I thought he handled himself pretty well considering who he was going with.
Oh, my God. That is such a fucking fun player to watch. That's just a pure hockey player. He'll do it all. He doesn't give a shit. He competing every night. It is so cool. If I ever had a kid, I would want him to play like Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, that's a pretty... I'm going to say that's a very accurate statement because not only does he play like a bastard out there, he'll fight anyone. He's in front of the net, but he has like the best time doing it.
Yeah,
that's what is so fun to watch. Like after that fight, he's probably laughing in the room. He's just like he gets the guys going on the ice. He gets them going off the ice. So you can tell he like appreciates where he's at in life. And he did pretty well in the fight. You could tell like Weber had a couple. Weber threw a Weber bomb right off his helmet. Like I think he was like, I'm just going to try to smash his helmet into 10 pieces. So I was surprised that he did go, but the end he took him down into the net and he got the boys going. They won, right? 6-3?
Yeah, they smoked them. They were plus 500 on the puck line that night, too.
They're competing late in the season, man. Right? Every game I'm looking at the ticker they've been involved in. Close games. Like we thought they were going to be the laughing stock at the start of the year.
Man, the Flames.
Not all of us.
Not all. That's true, all right. What's their record?
The cup.
No, I throw some money on them on the shits and giggles, but that they were going to be competitive is what I said, and they've been very competitive. And yeah, Brady, you can tell he's having fun out there with. He just goes nonstop. Love watching him play. Jump over the Calgary Flames, boys. I see a Battle of Alberta shirt with. They haven't really gotten much of a Sutter bump, unfortunately. They had an 0-3 week since we last talked, 2-8 in their last 10. Is this team even going to make the playoffs with?
No. They're sellers. I think Sam Bennett. I think if you plan on going on a run, you go try to get Sam Bennett. I think that guy's playoff type hockey player, and I think that'll be a guy. And all of a sudden, you're hearing Monahan discussions. Now, I think that you have to look at it all, and you can't do it in the next week, the 7 days till the deadline. This is a summer thing, but there's going to be some major changes there. I don't know if Gaudreau will be there next year. I don't know if Monahan will be, but if you look around, it's like that whole entire core isn't working. This year's been a disaster. So right now, you're looking to see what you can get at the deadline.
Oh man, that's the big question there. And I, in a shortened season, no fans in the building, like are you going to put that much weight on how this, especially with adding Markstrom and Tanev, or do you give them another full season? Like I guess it would depend on what you're offering. It's hard. I mean, we're thinking so narrow-minded where I'm like on the fence about where I want to go. I don't think I would, if you're going to sell, I think you should probably wait till the off season.
I agree. But I think there's some guys that could be done before the deadline. But the big changes like Monahan or Gaudreau and those type guys, then you're looking at like, give us some time in the summer. But the cap not changing is it makes this so difficult.
Right. And I think the one theme right now is teams eating salary. That seems to be like what the big topic is. So I don't know what the answer is, Whit, but they ain't making playoffs. And what a letdown after the coaching change. And yeah, this group is definitely broken right now.
Yeah, when you take a look at all these names getting bandied about too, all these guys got term left as well. It's not like these are UFA guys they can just pawn off for a pick or whatever. So that makes it even more difficult, like you said. Any other notes? Actually, yeah, one more. Montreal, Eric Staal is expected to make his debut Monday night, which is tonight. We're recording Monday. Montreal won 3 or 4 on the week, split with Ottawa. They're kind of hanging tough in that division, but didn't know if there was any other North notes you had for us, boys.
I was critical of giving up a third and a fifth. From most Montreal fans I'm hearing, they're like, no, we need depth up the middle, and
yeah, they do.
we have 12 draft picks left, so we're okay giving it. So I'm going to back off on that one.
Well, they had the Deneau, right? With Tatar, whatever, Deneau and Gallagher. But then after that, it was like Suzuki and Kotkaniemi, both young guys, right? So Staal, maybe he's not, the player he once was, but he's older and he can at least not have one of those guys going against another top second line. Because I think those are the 4 playoff teams. I think the North's pretty much set. And I don't even really think it matters who plays who. I think they're all like, I don't think like if Toronto wins that division, they'd much rather play, Winnipeg or Edmonton or Montreal, right? Like it's pretty like open in that division. And I think those 4 teams are now just jockeying for who finishes where.
That'd be a fun series to watch between Edmonton and Winnipeg with those forward groups.
Can't
Montreal's so much different than every other team. And then like Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg, they're gunning. They're coming quick. They're playing offense. They're fast. They will turn the puck over here and there, but they create a lot. Montreal's a way different team. So if Carey Price gets hot, that division is just, Biz is cutting his foreskin off if Toronto doesn't get out. I think we forgot about that one from Jupiter.
Oh,
but what was the other thing we were just chatting about? I had to bring up.
Let's see.
Montreal,
COVID, Calgary.
The Marner goal in Edmonton, or they might have been at home. Filthy. Check that out. He cuts to the front of that, strong, cuts in, roofs it. It was just a sick goal for a guy who kind of is quietly like having a dominating season. I know that's crazy to say, but I don't know. You hear a lot more about Matthews. Makes a little sense with how he could score goals. And I think that to look at Marner's game, he's a legit superstar right now.
Yeah, when Marner's hanging out with Biebs on the regs, I think then we'll talk more about him. But right now we'll stick with Matthews talk.
Boys, we've mentioned Toronto, we've mentioned Edmonton, we've mentioned Montreal. Well, our guest this week played for all 3 of those teams. Shayne Corson. Awesome interview coming up. First off, we do want to mention, if you have 30 free minutes, you never have to worry about a break-in at home ever again. That is how quick and easy it is to set up a security system from SimpliSafe. It's the kind of thing that's so easy to do. You can do it during a Netflix binge, watching the game, or listening to a certain podcast. Having the security set up at my place makes me feel that much safer, knowing I have extra sets of eyes looking out for me, and help is just a phone call away. SimpliSafe is incredibly easy to customize for your home. Just go to simplisafe.com/chiclets. You can easily choose the exact sensors you need or get help from one of their many experts. It'll get to your house in about a week, which means by this time next week, you and your whole family can go to bed knowing your home is being guarded by SimpliSafe. So go to simplisafe.com/chiclets today to customize your system and get a free security camera at the same time. You also get a 60-day risk-free trial, so there's nothing to lose. One more time, that's simplisafe.com/chiclets. That's simplisafe.com/chiclets, CHICLETS. Check them out and keep your homestead safe. All right, boys, and now we're going to send it over to Shayne Corson. Well, it's a real pleasure to welcome our next guest to the show. Taken 8th overall by Montreal in the 1984 draft, this bruising left wing would go on to play nearly 1,300 regular season and playoff games with Montreal, Edmonton, Toronto, St. Louis, and Dallas. In addition to 19 NHL seasons, he also represented Team Canada on the international stage, playing the 1991 Canada Cup and the 1998 Olympics, among others. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Shayne Corson, how's it going, my man?
Thanks, R.A. Did my mom send that bio of mine to you guys over there or something?
Yeah, another $5, I'll give you another paragraph.
Hey, R.A. Yeah, I'm sure she sent it over to you, but all I'm hoping for is that there's a Hall of Fame where they combine the off ice and the on ice. I think then we'll all have a chance to be in the Hall of Fame.
That's what Terry Ryan told me. He said nobody better off the ice than Shayne Corson. He gave me like 10 voice memos about you.
Yeah, TR is a beauty.
Hey.
Not much I can say about TR. I think he's done it all, and I think he learned it all from his dad, to be honest with you. I've spent a few nights with him and out east, and they're a lot of fun. I'll tell you, I don't remember any of them, but they were good, I think.
Oh, he'll remember. He'll tell you, too.
Oh, I don't remember, but he does. I know. He calls me the next morning and says, "Oh, do you remember doing this, this, and this?" I go, "No."
Nope. Then don't tell me.
Exactly.
I don't want to hear it.
Don't tell me anything. I don't want to hear any of it.
Biz, he mentioned we could be in the Hall of Fame. You could even DJ there, dude. They'd let you sort of sneak in, be like that fifth liner in the Hall of Fame.
I would have liked to have DJ, and I'm skipping forward here because we were going to save it for later. But he told me you ended up opening up your own restaurant in Montreal when you were there called Shayne's.
Yeah.
And I actually met a few of the guys that worked there at the time who ended up becoming famous. One of them, Jeremy Charles, who was a chef there.
Yeah.
And then Sam Roberts.
Yeah, great kids, man. Sammy and Charles have seen quite a few things go on in Montreal, I'll tell you. But I don't know. My buddy actually was a buddy of mine that I grew up with in Barrie, Ontario, was a beautician too, and he wanted to open a restaurant bar. And I'm going, oh my God, just what I need, another bar in Montreal that I can go to, and it's free, boys. So we opened her up, and we had a lot of fun. But I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun, good place to be. And those two guys you mentioned, they were super people, and it couldn't have happened to two better guys. They were great kids, worked hard. And you love to see good people and hard workers become successful. And both those guys did that.
Was Sam Roberts playing at the time? Would he play live music there? Yeah.
He played some live music at the restaurant bar, more of a bar, to be honest with you. And he'd take off to do some shows, like live shows, and we'd all go watch and support him. And he was just an amazing person and down to earth and incredibly talented. Unbelievable.
Biz, sorry if people don't know, are they musicians? Because I'm not sure.
I'll let Corson take that over.
Yeah, Sam's a big musician here in Canada. He's done real well for himself, and Jeremy's a big chef. Jeremy actually was on CNN, I believe, and he's big out here in Canada and out east especially. But
you just gave them their start. You just got them in the door, Shayne.
Buddy, yeah, I gave them the start all right, but they seen a lot of they had a lot of fun. Let me tell you that they've seen a lot of things and a lot of fun times just while they were there. So it was a show for them while they were working there every night.
It was like Canadians Got Talent and, playing for all the Habs guys, just pissed drunk, but giving them the X's. But as far as Sam Roberts is concerned, he's like, up there as one of the better artists in all of Canada. We have a lot of American listeners, but check him out. And as far as Jeremy Charles is concerned, like Anthony Bourdain went, I believe, to Newfoundland and spent some time with him there. And, he did. And interviewed him and all the cuisine that comes from there. So it was, he's big time.
He's an incredible guy. And like I said, the biggest thing for me, and more importantly, is being good people. And both of them are great people. So it was nice to see them be so successful and do so well in life. And I've been out east quite a few times doing different charity events. I spent a lot of time with TR and Jeremy. And like I said, we have a lot of good times. I don't remember a lot of it, but I'm sure it was fun.
What was your nickname with the boys throughout your career?
I had a few of them, to be honest with you. One was Hammer, and we won't say why.
Oh, what a legendary nickname! The only other Hammer I know, I think guys called Sheldon Surrey Hammer. When you're called Hammer, you got a lot of things going for you. No pigeons are called Hammer.
Surrey, Sheldon was my roommate when we played together in Montreal. Can you picture that, roommate?
Oh shit!
How about that tandem?
Wow, so that was right when he came into league, or was that with Jersey?
When he left Jersey, he came to Montreal, and we were roommates for about a year. And that was enough for me. Was he like getting 20 goals, 25 goals right away in Montreal? Or was that taking him a little while to get that offense? What are we talking?
On
ice.
Off ice, I would have said 150 games.
Exactly.
He's the Gretzky of off ice.
Yeah.
that's what I meant. It took him some time. I think he started doing that more, especially in Edmonton, right? But anyways, he was just incredible on the ice and off the ice. So, and he was a great roommate, awesome roommate. Obviously one of the best looking guys in the league. I'll tell you that. He did well for himself. But he was a gem, good hockey player, good teammate, and even a better roommate.
Shayne, Biz mentioned the restaurant in Montreal, but we got to go way back to when you were a kid. Your family owned a family restaurant that you worked at. Is that basically where your work ethic came from and stuck with you through your whole career?
Yeah, right. I mean, my parents worked so hard to, they're the reason why I got to the NHL and made it to where I got to. Obviously, they sacrificed a lot, put a lot of hard work in. But yeah, we had a mom's pantry. It was called in Barrie, and we had it for years. My dad died at 45, but my mom and my sister continued on running it. We just sold it about probably 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Somebody that worked at a restaurant bought it from us, actually. And but yeah, I mean, that's something my dad and my mom taught me all along, is be a good person, be humble, and work hard. And if you want to be successful in life, you got to work at it. Whatever you do, whether it's a hockey player, police officer, lawyer, doctor, whatever you want to be, you got to work at it. So yeah, I washed dishes there and had some fun there. It lasted about 2 weeks, I think, though. The first time my dad fired me out of the kitchen because you have the spray thing to wash the dishes off. And me and my buddy, my goaltender, actually was my best friend growing up, Mel. He was a goaltender with our team. And we were screwing around, fucking around in the kitchen. And my dad come in and caught us and can't really say it nowadays. It's a little different. But he gave me a kick in the ass and told me to get out. You're fired. And I got hired back the next day by my mom, though. So it was all good. She was the boss of the house. But I mean, yeah, that's where they taught me to work hard. And I thank them for that. That's for sure.
There's no substitute there. But when you sold it, did they keep the same name? Is it still the restaurant with the same name, or did they change everything?
No, they kept it. It was called
nice.
Mom's Pantry. So original Mom's Pantry. They're still there. I think, actually, I just heard that it got sold again and they were doing some renovations. So I'm not sure if the name's going to change, but that just happened a couple months ago. So it was pretty cool. We have a lot of great memories there. Every Friday night, my dad would fill up the salad bar and with beer and wine and stuff. And we'd have a lot of family parties there, and friends and family would come over and we'd have a great time. So a lot of great memories there. A few scraps outside in the parking lot a few times too. So they're legendary. My dad and his uncle and my uncles, his brothers, are well known and Barrie for that. So we had a few of those nights too. It was good.
Well, I was going to ask you about you growing up and playing. Did you always have a chip on your shoulder as far, scrapping on the ice? And I know I've heard a few stories of you scrapping off the ice as well.
Yeah, I've had a few. I've always played with a chip on my shoulder. To be honest with you, growing up, I was one of the smaller guys on my team. So I just played with a chip on my shoulder, and everybody said I was too small to ever make it to the NHL or get to even the OHL. And I always tell my son, just getting the OHL was a success for him and for myself and all you guys too. You guys played, well, Wits is from US, so it's different. But I mean, I played with a chip on my shoulder, try to play hard all the time, tried to do the job defensively, play offensively. And I was always a chippy player and a nasty player. And I tried to play that way my whole life.
When did you start popping up on like scouts radars or, travel teams, that type of stuff? I
think it was pretty early. Like, to be honest, in my minor hockey career, I played in Barrie, just about 45 minutes north of Toronto. We were a single A team actually back then. Barrie's grown a lot, and it's a triple A team now, but started popping up probably more in Pee Wee. I went to the Quebec Major Pee Wee tournament and had a really good tournament there. But I mean, we had a really good team. Our team was incredible. I played with the same guys my whole life. Sean Dean and Brian Sear were my wingers, and they were incredible hockey players, so they helped me a lot. But so I think I started popping up on their radar in Pee Wee, and then it just went from there. But I was lucky enough to have great coaching and great teammates all the way through it. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
It was so far back, I didn't even realize Brantford had an OHL team. And
thanks, Biz. I know I'm old, buddy, but I'm not that old. But I appreciate it. But yeah, Brantford was fun.
Yeah, what was that experience like? And did the team end up moving, or did you just get traded after that first year?
No, I played for the same junior team my whole career. I was drafted by Brantford, and after the first year, our owner moved us to Hamilton. Jack Robillard was owner. He owned a bunch of gas stations, Sunny gas station. Great person, great owner. But it just wasn't working in Brantford, which is too bad. It's a great hockey town, Gretzky's hometown, and a lot of great people there. But we moved to Hamilton. But, I mean, Dave Draper drafted me. He was my GM and coach for my first year and a half. Amazing person. But the experience there was good, except for my first couple of days in Brantford in my rookie camp. I showed up in a Camaro, new Camaro, right? And a few of the guys, I guess a few of the guys didn't. I had the dice on the mirror and everything. I don't know what I was doing.
Come on.
No, I didn't have the dice. I'm kidding. You were going to kill me yourself, weren't you?
Like dazed and confused shit.
He had a paddle.
So I show up in this car and first day of training camp, I come out. It's a hot August day because we're playing, training camp in junior hockey in Ontario was in August. And sure enough, there's a big shit in the hood of my car. And it was Bob Probert and Todd Francis. And everybody knows Bob Probert. And Franny was another nails guy, was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens in the second round, but never made it. He had an eye injury and never got the chance to play. But yeah, they decided that I was a cocky young rookie and deserved to be brought down a few notches. And they probably were right. So they shit in the hood of my car. It wasn't just sitting there. It was melting down the front of my hood. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go at whoever did this, right? So I'm like running around saying, who the fuck did this? I want to kill them, right? And then somebody goes, it was Proby. And I went, okay, that's okay then.
It's all good.
No, it's all good. I'll clean it up myself.
You missed the spot.
That's what Proby and Franny was. And they ended up being my line mates. Proby was my left winger for a year and a half. And Franny was as tough as Proby was, but never made it because he had an eye injury. He was my right winger, so I was pretty lucky. So, I mean, they took care of me for the next year and a half until Proby got traded to Sioux. But, yeah, he was there saying, okay, you missed that spot. But
yeah.
And I had to drive him around for the next 6 months.
He's like, actually, the Camaro's mine now.
That's right.
Go get it washed, and it's mine now.
I claimed it by shitting on it.
Exactly. Like a dog pisses on a tree. They shit on my car. They said, it's mine now. And I didn't argue with him. I drove him anywhere he wanted to.
They made you fill out the gas tank, too, every time.
Buddy, everything.
Yeah.
I was under their control.
That's such a good story. Fucking, oh, man. Did you get a chance to meet Walter Gretzky while you were there?
Yeah, I met Walter. I became really good friends with Wayne Gretzky. He was a buddy of mine. I got to play with him in the 91 Canada Cup. We were line mates in the Canada Cup. Him and Steve Larmer were my line mates. From day one, that's the year you had 60 guys come into camp and try out, and I was lucky enough, fortunate enough to be on his line from day one. So I kind of knew that I might have a chance, but I didn't expect to make it, to be honest. I didn't really even want to go. I didn't think I belonged, but my dad talked me into going for the experience.
Really?
But, yeah, talked me into going for the experience, and I ended up making the team and playing with Gretzky. I remember going into the room and seeing the lineup, and I went, oh, my God, I'm playing with Gretzky and Larmer. And Larmer's one of the most underrated players I've ever played with my entire life. He's the nicest person, greatest roommate line. He was my roommate in the Canada Cup, but could do it all. Kill penalties, playing the power play. But, I mean, in the first training camp, the first practice, the first actual scrimmage, Gretzky sets me up with a wide open net. And what do? I heel it. Like, I need to be 4 or 5 feet from the net to put it in the open net, to be honest. I was about 10. I heeled it in the corner. I'm going, oh, my God, I'm off his line for sure. I'm done. I'm cut. And Gretzky came over being who he is and just came over and said, you know what, Course, don't worry about it. You'll get lots more of those. But he was just an incredible guy. So during that time, I got to know Walter really well, Mr. Gretzky. He's just an amazing person. I'm telling you, he's the nicest person, most humble guy. And never said no to a fan for a picture or an autograph. And then I got to spend a lot of time with him after hockey. We used to go down to Gretz's fantasy camp in Vegas, which was actually started in Phoenix, and then it moved to Vegas. And I got to spend a lot of time with him. And it was just, it was an honor for me. And like, I learned so much and had so much respect for him. It was incredible to spend time with that person. And not to say Vegas wasn't a bad spot to be for 7 days and it all paid for and have some fun with the Gretzky family and the rest of his buddies, right? It was a pretty good time.
Bad. So it's funny because you say Steve Larmer, and sometimes if you go on Hockey DB, that Steve Larmer's a name that if you check out his stats, you'll be blown away. You're like, what?
Yeah.
He did that in the NHL. So like an all-time great that doesn't get talked about much. But you talk about like not wanting to go and like actually not thinking you belong. And nowadays I feel like so many younger players are just programmed to say, like, I'm as confident as I can be. I think I'm as good as anyone else. Whereas maybe a little different back in your time where you're like, dude, I don't know if I have it.
Yeah, no, you're right, for sure. I think times have changed, for the good and the bad, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some kids that it's okay to be confident, but to be cocky, it's not so good. And I think nowadays there's a little bit more cockiness at times that I don't like to see in the game, but that's part of it, and that's the world we live in. For sure, there was a lot of guys that played with a little bit less confidence. And we all know confidence is a big thing in life. You got to be confident. You're not going to be successful either, but you do have your times where you're not confident. And when things are rolling really good and you have all kinds of confidence. So I definitely think that that's part of the game that's changed. And you're right. I think they've programmed that into the kids. And I think being a little bit, sometimes when people are hard on you, I've had coaches who were hard on me through my career and sometimes ruins that. And you don't have the confidence you should have moving on. And we all know we've had coaches where they put you in situations to be successful and coaches that put you in situations that you're not successful. So there's so many things that depend on confidence and doing well and being and believing in yourself. And I think that nowadays the kids at times can be a little bit too confident. saying cocky, but I like to see the confidence, and I love to see people that are confident because it's very important, especially for our young kids. I have 4 young kids myself, and I want them to be as confident as possible. Just don't go overboard and be cocky. It's not something that I like.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty fine line because, yeah, you want to have a little confidence in life, but you don't want to be a cocky bastard. I want to go back to Stevie Lama for a second. How many packs of gum did that guy have in his stall? Every time you saw that guy, he was chomping on gum like a madman.
Never mind packs of gum, buddy. Packs of cigarettes. I room with him in the Canada Cup. And every morning I get up, it was like a smoke show in there. He'd be having a cigarette and coffee in 91 Canada Cup. And I called my parents and I said, Mom, Dad, you got to come down to Toronto and get a room at the Westin here. I can't stay in this room with Larms, but he chewed more gum than any human being I've ever seen, and more. Other than Guy Lafleur, he smoked more cigarettes than anybody I've ever seen. And play the way he played was incredible because he's, like I said, and Whit said it, man. The guy's numbers are amazing, but he wasn't just an offensive player. He played defensively. He did it all. He killed penalties, played in the power play, and you know what? There's tough. And he was tough. He was tough on the puck. He didn't have to fight and drop his gloves. There was other guys that could do that for him on his teams. But he was strong on the puck, tough in the corners, tough in the front of the net, and just an incredible human being. But, yeah, they put at least 2 or 3 packs of gum in his stall between every intermission for sure. It was crazy. And the cigarettes, trust me. I was in the room. I couldn't even see. You could cut it with razor blades. There was so much smoke in there.
God, those were the days. We were going to go back to the OHL for a second. We were told that you had a little brawl on the side of the road during your OHL career. Do you want to fill us in on
the
that?
Hammer. The Hammer. There's a lot of grease balls in the Hammer. I'm not surprised you ended up getting one on the side of the road.
Let me tell you, I know where you're from, Busy. I mean, I love playing in Hamilton, and I love old school. I mean, I grew up in a small town, Barrie. It was 27,000 people when I left. It's 125 now, but I mean, I could tell you all kinds of brawl stories with my family and the Lawson family in my hometown. But yeah, this one was pretty crazy. I mean, again, we were driving in my car with Todd Francis, the right winger, Franny, we called him, was driving the car. And Gary McColgan was in the car with us. He was in the back seat. We called him Cheesy. He was a goal scorer, never made it. But we were driving along, and all of a sudden somebody's giving us the high beams, blah, 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 boom, boom, boom. Honking the horn on us, pulls up beside us, giving us the finger. And we're looking at this guy. There's one guy in a car, and we're thinking, what's this guy doing, man? So the guy's telling him to pull over. So we pull over.
Wrong door.
We're thinking, this is great. Like, there's 3 of us. There's one of him. So we pull over. He pulls it. We pull into a parking plaza. I'll never forget it. We pull in. I jump out. Franny jumps out. And Gary McColgan just sits in the back seat, just sits there, and he's kind of watching, right? And I'm thinking, okay, what's he doing? Whatever. There's 2 of us still. We got this guy. And he wasn't a big guy, but he was thick as anything. And I'm thinking, oh my God, okay. So I kind of square off with him first, and we're going out, and I'm hitting him with everything I got. And he's just looking at me like, what do you got? Is this all you got? And then he's looking around, and all of a sudden I said, Franny, get in here. I'm getting excited. I kicked him right in the balls, and he doesn't even fucking budge. It's like, oh my God, he's got steel balls too, right? I said, holy shit, what's happening here? Like, this guy, I'm looking at Franny, like thinking, Franny, get in here with me, help me out, right? So Franny gives him everything he's got, nails him. The guy just turns, looks at him, and goes, when I'm done with him, I'm going to kill you. And then all of a sudden I see Cheesy. I look over at him, thinking, Cheesy, get out of the car. He puts his window down about 3 inches and looks at me and goes, hey, boys, you need any help out there? Puts the window back up.
The goal scorer.
Puts the window back up. The goal scorer, right? Puts the window back up. And after Franny drills the guy starts chasing Franny, and Franny's running around the car. And I look at Franny. I'm yelling at Franny, let's get in the fucking car and get out of here. So we jump in the car and we're gone. We take off. We said, enough with this guy. We had given him everything we had. And it didn't even put him on the ground. He was going to.
Who was this guy?
Oh my!
So we jump in the car. We jump in the car. We're flying. Franny's flying. We're terrified, right? We're thinking, who is this guy? So we're flying in the car, and there's the 401. It's a big highway up here in Toronto. And all of a sudden, Cheesy yells up and goes, "Holy fuck! Since when did the 401 have stoplights?" Because we were so scared. We were flying through the stoplights, all the red lights. So we get to practice the next day, and we're starting to ask around. There's a couple of guys that played in our team from Hamilton. Ronnie Bernacki, Mike Maurice, all played in Hamilton. And we're going, we got in this fight with this guy last night, blah, blah, blah. And they go, fuck, we heard this story. This guy just got out of jail for manslaughter.
No way, dude.
He was a weight guy, workout guy. And I guess he had dropped some weights on a guy in the gym one time. I guess he was with a gang in Hamilton. You know, Bizzer come from there.
Oh, yeah. It's fucking crazy.
East Enders and all those guys. Remember, there was the one gang called East Enders. I can't remember another, but he was involved in one of those gangs. And I guess they had to teach a guy last night, dropped the weight on his head and got manslaughter.
Were you panicked about maybe running into him again, or was he out to get you, or was that kind of the end of it?
Well, there was rumors that they were out to get us, and we were terrified. Trust me, Whitty, because I'm telling you right now, Franny was one tough dude. He was about 220 pounds, and he could hit. And I gave him everything I got, and he didn't move. And same with Franny. And then we actually came back from a road trip, and all our windows were smashed in, and our tires were cut.
There he was.
There he was. He got us back in another way because I don't.
The
think
East Ender.
Yeah, he did. Well, Bizzard knows that area. That wasn't a pretty area at that time.
I wouldn't even go to what was it was called Hess Village. I wouldn't even go there because you would hear about all the scraps that would be going on there. And man, that is pretty nutty that this guy was just buzzing around town, just looking for anybody who would go him on the side of the road. That's like fucked up.
That's desperate.
The fact that you guys even pulled over is banana lands to me.
The more fucked up thing is we actually pulled over and thought we were going to be okay with the three of us, and then he chased us off. There were three tough hockey players, and he chased us down the street like three little babies. But yeah, it was a pretty tough town. It was an awesome place to play, and there's many more stories like that. Trust me.
Hey, you're like, hey, Probes, you can keep my Camaro, but you got to come give me a little bit of help here in Hamilton.
We had Proby actually in Hamilton for the first half a year, and then we traded him to Sioux, which was great to do because we ended up having a brawl with them on a Sunday afternoon TV game. And unfortunately, Proby was on the other team, but we had a pretty tough team anyways. But we got into a couple with Proby too when he was there. There was Proby and Troy Crowder and Dennis Vial was on our team, Kirk Thomason. We had a really tough team, Sammy Haiti, Johnny English. We weren't short on tough guys, but the Sunday afternoon game was like just a shit show. I mean, Proby was on the Sioux at that time, and it was a Sunday afternoon game, TV game on the Sunday, big deal. And we end up getting into a brawl with them. Our goalies are beating their goalies up on the bench. There's fights everywhere on the ice. The fight must have went on for an hour and a half. Bill LaForge was our coach at the time. He actually coached in Niagara Falls after, and he was really good to me when he was a tough coach, but he was crazier than a hoot owl, and he had us. So we were fighting for about an hour and a half, but the funny part was that after it was all over, and this is getting filmed, like they filmed it all, LaForge was thrown out of the league. He was thrown out of the Western Hockey League, but Billy Dines, our trainer, God rest his soul, is gone now. He passed away. He comes out in the ice with a shopping cart to pick all our hockey gear up. And we're going, oh my God, like this is really good for Sunday afternoon hockey for all the young kids wanting to play hockey one day. And there we are fighting.
Right from church.
There's our train right from church. They don't let me in those places, Whit. I only go at Christmas time. And I have a tough time getting in there, but
you have to go through a metal detector when you go to church the one night a year.
I can just picture this game on TV with you guys just scrapping in the trainer, just putting the gloves inside the shopping cart.
Buddy, it was crazy. And I'm telling you, when the gloves were going in the shopping cart and the helmets, it was just like, oh my God, like what just happened? But it was a crazy day.
We just had Jovo on, and he was telling the story about when they were playing Sarnia. I think it was the first round of playoffs, and the player ended up going after him, and then he got his helmet off, and he had it in his hands, and he's beating him over the head with it. And after the fight, and the old Windsor barn was absolutely bananas. And in the midst of that game, like a Sarnia guy and the fan were playing tug of war with a stick. But on the way off the ice, I believe the last guy's last name was Maxwell. He just turns around and just double barrel fingered the crowd on the way out. There was like 3 guys left on the bench for Sarnia by the time the game was up. And that was just the way it was back then.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, I watch that. I watch you guys quite often, as my kids do. So I'm like, it's an honor for me to be on with you guys. And I love it. My kids are so excited and all their buddies. But I actually watched that. It was pretty crazy when he was trying to hit him with the helmet. And talking about the Windsor barn, it was crazy, man. That place was nuts. Kevin Kerr was there when I played, and he was a tough nut and a good little hockey player. But speaking of Jovo, let me tell you, that's probably one of the craziest moments of my hockey career. I made a lot of mistakes when I was playing and did a lot of crazy shit. But I mean, because Joe was playing for Vancouver, was playing for Montreal at the time, and we kind of got into it. It was more of a scrum. There was a bunch of guys in there, and we couldn't really get at each other. And we wanted to, or maybe we didn't want to. I don't know. There was a little bit of respect there, anyways. Till we started swinging our sticks at each other, and I think I caught him on the head with the stick and got a 5-minute major, and he might have caught me with a pretty good 2-hander across the knee. We get thrown in the penalty box. Referees come over, and they go, "Oh, they're gone." We get 5s, we're gone. And I don't know what happened. I blacked out. I was so, and he had said something to me. I don't know. It was something like maybe over the line, but that happened back in the day. I lost my marbles, went crazy. He went to his dressing room, and I went off the ice and went into the hallway, went right past my dressing room, back to the end hallway where all the media is and all the workers are back there. Security's back there. I go flying down the back hallway, pushing all the security guards out of the way, telling them to get that fuck out of my way. They're going, "What are you doing?" Right down to the hallway, down to their dressing room and into their dressing room. Then I'm kind of blacked out at this point, so I'm just going bananas, right? And so Todd Bertuzzi's hurt. He's in the dressing room when I get there. And a trainer that played was our stick boy in Hamilton was the trainer, Bernstein, for the Vancouver Canucks. So I get into the room, I'm yelling and screaming, I want to fight. I'm in Vancouver's dressing room. When I first came to be honest, boys, I looked down, I'm standing on the Vancouver Canucks emblem in their dressing room when I came to because I had blacked out.
Oh, it was in their building. It was in their building.
So it was in the Vancouver building.
Oh, I thought you were at the home team.
No, I was in Vancouver, walked right by the dressing room, our dressing room, down the hall, past all the security guards, all the people in the back hallway to get to their hallway, to their dressing room, went down their hallway, pushed the security guards out of the way, went into their room. And then Bertuzzi was there, not dressed. He was injured. And the trainer that knew me came running because everybody was screaming and going crazy and saying, what the hell's going on? And I'm in there yelling at Jovo, trying to fight him. And Todd goes, enough's enough. And Bernstein gets in and he's going on. And that's what I came to. And I was standing on the emblem. And I remember going, what the fuck am I doing? And then I had my helmet in my hand. I didn't know what to do with it. I was kind of like, what the hell am I doing? So I threw my helmet at Jovo and then turned around and left and went back to my own room. Now, in these days now, boys, nowadays, you'd be suspended probably for life.
You'd be arrested,
Oh,
bro.
God.
They probably gave you a beer on the way out back then.
The trainers on our team had a couple of ice cold beers for me ready to go, so it was all good. I think I got suspended for, 4 or 5 games, but it wasn't too bad. I needed a break anyway.
Like planes, trains, and automobiles. They're all like, you're going the wrong way. You go in the wrong locker room.
All right, speaking of planes, trains, and automobiles, I think I missed every one of those during my career.
Hey, that's another story I heard. I heard you missed so many team flights.
I missed a couple
What a
flights.
segue.
Let me tell you, I missed a couple flights. Not a lot, a couple flights, maybe 2 or 3 buses, and
Couple dozen.
maybe a couple dozen, maybe late for a few. But I missed 2 flights actually. The one was in Montreal. It was an honest mistake actually. It was when the clocks had to change and all that stuff, and I didn't change mine. I might have been out the night before. I don't remember. Actually, I think I was might have had a girlfriend. Might have been married by that time. Can't remember. Anyways. I'm heading to the airport. I got there. I'm sitting there. And then I got a call from I think it was my wife. And she goes, you were supposed to move the clocks back, right? You're an hour, your flight's late. And I went, what? So I ran to the fucking terminal and to the gate. I get to the gate and the fucking plane's backing out. So I go to the people at the gate. Can you call the pilot and tell him, Shayne Corson, we're in Montreal. I thought, they could call the pilot. He could tell Burnsy that pilot would pull it back up. They're only about 10 feet out. Well, he did all that for me, but the stewardess goes to Burns and goes, Corson's at the gate. He's waiting. He wants to see, can we pull back in 10 feet to get him? He goes, fucking leave him there. They left me there. I had to get my own way. The better one, though, was when we were in Edmonton, and thank God. So we're at Brent Gilchrist is getting married. So we have his bachelor party in Edmonton at one of the bars. One of our friends owned a bar there in town, and we got pretty banged up that night. And I set my alarm when I got home. I thought I set it properly, but I set it for PM instead of AM. And I remember waking up out of the cold sweat and hung over, and I look at my watch and I go, holy shit, I look at the alarm. The alarm didn't go off. Oh my God. So I was late. I was going to be late. I knew it, but I thought if I could maybe get there in time and just get on at the last minute. So I'm running out of the condo. I got my buddies living with me at the time. I go, Mel Dog, the goalie again. He goes to me, I go, you got to get me to the airport. You got to get me there. So he's raced me there. I got my shirt undone, ties all over the place. I'm sweating. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm getting traded from Edmonton. I was playing at Edmonton at the time. I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to get to the Edmonton airport. I get out there. I'm running in. I'm thinking, oh shit. Who do I see? It's Peter Klima and Cedino Seeger walking down the fucking hallway too. And I'm thinking, oh my fucking Lord, I'm not the only guy. And it even gets better. I'm thinking, thank God I'm with 2 other guys. So we go through security. We get to the gate, and there's 6 other guys sitting there at the gate waiting to get. We're like, oh my God. There was I think there was 7 or 8, 2, 3. I think there was 7 or 8 of us that missed the flight. We had to get our own flight. We were playing in Buffalo. We were going to Buffalo, so we had to get our own flight. Fly to Toronto. We got a van to take us from Toronto to Buffalo, and we played the next night. And the crazy thing is that the media found out obviously about everything. Everybody talked about everything, blah, blah, blah. Stotts, all he said to us is, you win the next 2 games. We were playing Buffalo and Boston. You win the next 2 games, and it's forgotten about. And Stotts was really cool that way. And sure enough, we had 2 of our best games that year, which we weren't having a great season. My years in Edmonton were a little tough. We won both games, and nothing happened to any of us. And the guy at Stega was Brent Gilchrist. Made it to the plane. It was on the plane, puking his brains out in the toilet. But there's 7 or 8 of us that didn't make the flight. Not a pretty sight.
We don't want to jump to Edmonton quite yet. I got to go back to Montreal when you first broke in the league, Shayne. That's when I first started watching you back in the mid-'80s. You were an 8th overall pick. Was that a surprise to you about where you expected to go? What were your expectations before the draft?
Well, I was actually on draft day, I was ranked 5th overall and had a bit of a brawl again, like a lot of fighting and drinking and missing planes and shit like that. But we had a little bit, we had a hammer. And yeah, exactly. I was thinking that too. We had a little bit of a brawl with another family. There was another family in Barrie. We were the Corson family. There was a Lawson family, and we got into a bit of a fight with them. So I ended up getting in some trouble with the law and stuff like that. So it kind of knocked me down a few notches to the. But I ended up getting. And we had met Montreal the night before. My dad wasn't a big Montreal Canadiens fan. He was a big Leaf fan growing up, and they had met with him, and they had told me they're going to take me 5th. And they actually ended up taking Peter Sobotka, who was from Czechoslovakia. They had snuck him into the country and drafted him 5th, and that made my dad even more pissed off and hated them even more. But they ended up making a trade and picked me 8th overall anyways, even though the trouble in Barrie that summer. But, yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I was just happy to get drafted, to be honest. I just wanted to get the opportunity to play him and reach my goals and dreams of playing in the NHL. And, I mean, I know so many guys that never got drafted and had great careers. And then I know a lot of guys that got drafted in the first round. I played with two of my good buddies, both drafted by the same team. Were drafted in the first round to the LA Kings and never made it. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but it was exciting to be drafted by the Canadiens in the Forum, where the draft was held every year for a long time. Now it moves around. So, yeah, it was pretty cool, and kind of expected to go in the first round somewhere, but I was just happy to get drafted.
And you had 3 games.
Hold on, all right, sorry, one sec. I got to go back. Part of that story, you say that your family sounds like the O'Doyles and Billy Madison. Yeah. Did you have another rival family in the town, the Lawsons? And you guys just like
there was a Lawson family and the Murphy family, and they were like cousins. So it was
you guys just chucked them with all of them.
Yeah, we there was a buck and doe. They had a buck and doe.
What's that, stag?
Yeah, they have a stag and a bachelorette together, right? Yeah. So they had it out at an old farm, and my sister dated one of the guys in the past, and she ended up dating this guy, Roger Belanger, was a first-round pick of the Pittsburgh.
Yeah, from Welland.
Yeah, from Welland, Ontario. I became good friends with him. He dated my sister, and they had this big plan to get us they invited us to this big party, and they had a plan to get us, and they jumped, bam, we called him Roger Belanger down the washroom, and the next thing you know, the shit hit the fan. My dad was down there trying to break it up, and they gave him a smack, and there was only 5 or 6 of us, a ton of us. So there was game on. We got into it at the farm, and they got the better of us probably. I mean, my dad's ear was half ripped off. My nose was broken. Bam went to the hospital with a broken jaw. But we left there. We got out. We fought our way out of there somehow, and they were like chased us out of there. And we got out of there and got in the car, and went back to the family restaurant, going back to the restaurant where everything happened and all the thinking went on. We got back there, and my dad says, "Fuck this," and he called his 2 brothers. I had 2 uncles, Ivor and Peter, and they were 2 big, tough dudes, and he called them and he said, "We're fucking going back." So they came over to the restaurant. We went back and we got the better of them on the second half.
Holy shit.
On the second half of the fight, we got the better of them. So they were the Lawson, the Murphy family. They were well known around town too. They were from the area. They weren't right from Barrie. They were a small town just outside of Barrie. But so that kind of left a bit of a stain on some of the teams, I guess, in the NHL. But it was
whoever didn't pick you,
family.
Everyone should have wanted you the way you played. It's like Corson rules. That's my new saying for you. That was your family. Crushing the whole
fucking
town.
Sons of Anarchy over here. Just cruising around on the Harleys.
That's another whole story, boys. We won't get into that one though.
Yeah. Hey, you want to fight in rough and rowdy or what? Jesus Christ.
No. I mean, you know what? You know how it is, Biz.
Oh yeah.
And everybody, we know how it is. You mean family's family. You do and stick up for your family no matter what. And,
absolutely.
I mean, I'll be honest. Something my dad taught me from a young kid, even being on the ice, and don't start anything. Try not to start fights. It's not cool. Be the guy that finishes them and is the quiet guy. And my family were usually pretty good at that. But I mean, I know there's a lot of fight stories, and it's a different world nowadays. Back in the day, you could get away with doing that stuff, and it would be a fist fight. And you might get a bloody nose, but it's changed. Now there's knives and guns and shit like that, and it's just not even worth it. I tell my boy, just go out and have a fun time. Somebody starts some shit and wants to be an asshole, just leave. Go somewhere else with your buddies. It's not worth it.
10 years later, it don't matter, Shayne.
No,
you know what I mean?
Don't matter shit now. And back then it was fun, and it was all fun and games, and they were the same type of people we were. They were good people. It was just 2 families that, didn't want to shit on each other's
Have you guys been able to bury the hatchet since?
You know what?
We tried it, but then one of them stabbed the other one with the hatchet. When they tried.
That's when the knives and guns came out.
No, we don't do that stuff. You know what? I've ran into them in the past, and it's water under the bridge, man. It happened when we were all younger. I mean, I was 17 years old when it happened with me, and like I said, it's changed. The world's changed, and I've changed a lot. I just love going out and having fun and hanging with my buddies and telling stories and stuff like this and doing things like this. That's why I enjoy these types of things, especially this one's one of the best. But we've ran at each other, and we get a good laugh about it. They went on with their lives. They have kids now and families too, and we all know that things have changed, and it was just a different world back then.
Oh, well, that's
we had a few scraps of the drive-in too, which was pretty fun.
Outside the style. I was saying you had the 3 games with Montreal late in the '86 season. Now, were the Black Aces a thing back then? Were you a Black Ace? How did that all play out during the playoffs for you, Shayne?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to play I think I played 3 games, the first 10 games, and then had a meeting with Serge Savard, who was our GM at the time. And he was really good about it. He said, like, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay here? And he was honest with me. He said, you're not going to play every game. And when you do play, you might not play much, right? So I kind of said to him, I'd probably be better for my development. And my agent thought the same thing. And my parents thought the same thing. And Serge himself actually thought the same thing, that go back to junior hockey, get the opportunity to play in the World Junior Championships again. The World Junior Championships were held in Hamilton, so it was going to be fun. So I just thought it was better for my development to go and play the season in junior hockey, play in the World Championships, and get some confidence, as we talked about confidence earlier. And then actually the funny thing is, Andre Boudreau, who was our assistant GM in Montreal at the time, he actually met me in London and came down with me and met with me and talked to me. He said, we're going to have you come up in the playoffs. And he didn't tell me if I was going to play or how much I was going to play, and had a plane ticket for me and everything at the time. Technology and all that stuff was different at the time. And I was all pumped up and excited because our junior team wasn't going to make the playoffs. And they had asked me if I wanted to be traded to a contender. And I said, I'd just rather just finish the season with my team. I've been with them for 3 years and fight. We weren't totally out of it, but there was going to be a slim chance. But I didn't want to quit on my team or my teammates and the organization, and to the owner. He was so good. So I ended up staying there, and we didn't make the playoffs. But the unfortunate thing is I got hurt. The last game of the season, actually, I tore up my knee and my ankle, was in a cast up to my hip. So I ended up actually going up there, but not getting the opportunity to even play till late in the finals against Calgary. I actually got to go on the ice a couple of times with the Black Aces, which it was so much fun just being around that team and watching what they did and how hard they had to work and what they had to go through and how they had to get, some luck. And Patrick obviously played unbelievable, and their team played great. And just to be around that atmosphere, and then just to see the party and be a part of the party, the Stanley Cup party in the city of Montreal, it was incredible, insane. It's not the same as not being, bleeding and sweating with your teammates and being a part of it, having your name in the cup. But it was still pretty cool to be around those guys and see how hard they worked to get that Stanley Cup.
Now, I want to go to your first camp. You find yourself in this fabled locker room, probably the most famous locker room in hockey, no doubt. All these veterans that are basically connective tissue to the greatest teams ever, the 70s Canadians.
Yeah.
Are you like space cadet? Like, is your head spinning? What's your reaction to all this being, in a room with Larry Robinson and Guy Carbonneau and Bob Gainey all of a sudden? Yeah,
I mean, like I said, I wasn't a Montreal Canadian fan, but I always had respect for their organization and the history they had and their players. But to actually go and be in the same dressing room, and I remember the first day I walked into training camp, my first training camp, and I walked in the dressing room, and there's Guy Lafleur sitting there and all dressed in all black. He loved black. He had black cars, black clothes, everything, right? And sitting there smoking a cigarette in the middle of the dressing room at the Montreal Forum. I was like,
black lungs.
Oh my God, the black lungs too, but the guy could skate forever. But I mean, those guys treated me with so much respect. I learned so much from them, not just as hockey players, as people and human beings. They were so good to the fans. They never said no about an autograph or a picture, and they just had so much respect for the game and so good to their teammates. And to have guys like that around, like Jean Beliveau, Rocket Bouchard, Guy Lafleur, Yvon Cornway, Lambert, and then you mentioned the two guys. Then those guys I didn't really play with. I was with Guy Lafleur for few training camps, but Larry Robinson and Bob Gainey were two of the greatest people I met in hockey, and two of the greatest leaders. And they were two totally different people. Bob was more even-keeled, straight-laced, and Larry was more of a fun guy telling jokes and more of a vocal guy. But to have those two types of guys around and be a part of that organization at that time was just incredible. And like I said, they taught me a lot about the off-ice thing. And I tell you what, that organization, they wanted you to have fun too off days. As long as you showed up at the rink and worked hard at practice, they didn't mind you having a good time. And trust me, boys, I had a really good time while I was in Montreal, and it's well documented. But those guys were incredible.
Well, you bring that up, and I can't imagine you go from Hamilton, and you don't have a ton of money, and you're playing junior hockey, and all of a sudden you're in Montreal Canadiens, where you can't go anywhere in the town. Good looking guy, you're crushing it. Like, I can't imagine how hard it was to really reel yourself in. No, seriously, you're a young kid. It's like, I don't know, like.
But you're so right, man. I appreciate that, because that's what people don't understand, man. I came from Barrie. When I left Barrie, it was, like I said, 27,000 people. I didn't have a lot of money. My parents didn't have a lot of money. They were great to us, and they did what they could for us. But, all of a sudden I'm making like $100,000, which is a lot of money. My parents never made that, even close to that. And in a city like Montreal, and being a young guy, and we had a lot of young guys in the team too. There was a lot of guys that came in at that time. There was, Chelios was there, and Momasso, and Riche, and Courtnall, and Jyrki Lume, and Mike Keane, and Brent Gilchrist. And I mean, there's so many guys, great guys. So we had so much fun, but it was hard. I mean, I'd find myself sitting in my apartment. I'm going like, every night you had somewhere to go in Montreal. There was, L'Action on Sunday night. There was Bourbon Street on Monday night. I could name them all. Sir Winston Churchill's any night of the week. Thursdays, you know them all. Stanley Street, the Chez Paris,
Chez Paris, Monday through Friday.
That's
Saturday, Sunday.
Every day, a free buffet, man. I was at the free buffet I hate to say it, every day. It was free, so I went there, right? But it was so hard. Like, you find yourself sitting there as a young guy and nothing else to do, and you get bored. And they weren't playing
breakfast.
That's right. They were free. The buffets were free. That's why I went there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we know.
We know
the lap dances weren't.
Okay, you got me. More than 400.
Hey, I was there at.
Hey, boys, I got to tell you one. This bizarre.
Oh, go ahead.
This is going back. I got to tell you this story, boys. I mean, it's brutal, but I did it. I got my check from the Montreal Canadiens, and I took it and cashed that Chez Paris. Can you imagine that? I went up to the bartender. I had to sign it off, and I think I had to give them a percentage, and I cashed my check.
Your 2 weeker or your signing bonus?
This is your my 2 weeker. And can you imagine if they knew this is their first round or cashing their check at the Chez Paris? But I mean. You're right, Whit. It was such a hard time, and we had such a great group of guys, young guys. It was hard to contain yourself, but we tried our best.
How the ATM hammers you at the strip club. Yeah. Imagine the money they take out to cash a check.
Yeah, that was actually the Canadian bank back then, because it was happening so much. They got the stamp on the back. It's like, we're used to this.
Every team.
Of course, we gotta do this in person. We're coming up to Toronto for some golf this summer. We're not done yet, but I'm just saying that already.
Well, I would love to, boys. I mean, like I said, I get down to Boston a lot, and I'm being honest. I actually earned these 2 hats somehow. I know that they were very expensive hats for me, but I come down to Boston a lot. My daughter plays at Boston College, plays hockey down there, and I love Boston. I mean, I was almost a Bruin at one point too. All right, I was almost a Bruin.
Really? When did that almost happen?
Pat Burns was the coach in Boston, and he was my favorite coach. And we have a lot of good stories, good and bad stories, actually. He was like a father figure to me, and he would kick me in the ass when I needed it and gave me a hug when I needed it. But he tried to trade for me when he was in Boston and Toronto. So I think it would have been pretty cool to play for the Bruins. It was kind of my style, and a great city, and I just love the city now. And I've got to know it better in the last 4 years, because Will's been down there playing hockey. So I get down there quite a bit. So whether we do another podcast, because there's a lot of stories, boys. Lots.
Oh,
we can go over them.
Another one.
We'll go over them together one time, and then we can talk about what we really can talk about. But I'd love to come down there and hang out with you guys and have a few cocktails with you guys, a few Pink Whitneys and a few good Sundays. My son started a company too, so I gotta.
Oh, nice! Shout that out. Good Sunday.
Good Sunday. I gotta pump him up because he's starting like you did.
Hey,
a bit of a head start. You got to start somewhere, right?
We'll drop some Pink Whitney nips in that.
Well, I was gonna say I like cuckoo juice, right? So I was thinking there's a good mix. Because cuckoo juice is really good. It gets you going pretty quickly and gives you a really good buzz.
I don't even know what that is. I need to get into that.
I think it's a cuckoo man named Hammer that knows about the cuckoo juice.
It's a little bit of a mix. You can mix wherever you want there, Bizzer. But I was thinking Pink Whitney and the Good Sunday mixed together, because Good Sunday is more like a seltzer, right? So it's more of a low calorie, low sugar, and low alcohol drink. So you could add the Pink Whitney to it and have really good cuckoo juice. It's good for hangover days and golf days, to be honest with you, boys.
We'll call it the Whitney one-timer.
Hold on.
So, go ahead, Whit.
No, you go ahead. Sorry, buddy.
Okay, so there's a couple ways. I want to talk about Pat Burns, but before that, your daughter plays college hockey. does it concern you that they're unable right now to figure out the pro level and all the, have you like dive into that at all? Like, have you done any research as to like what might be happening? Because I would imagine she has aspirations to play professional hockey and be paid a decent wage to do so.
Yeah. I mean, it's right. Women's hockey's come such a long way. I actually did a thing today with Sammy Jo Small, the goaltender from Canada here, won a bunch of gold medals and a great person. And she's a big advocate for women's hockey and been a role model for a lot of the girls coming up through hockey in Canada, especially, right? And then Amanda Kessel, and then Willow played with Keller, who's an unbelievable defenseman from the U.S. and played with Keller and Newkirk and a bunch of girls that played for Boston College women. They're great role models. But yeah, I mean, it's come a long ways, but it's got to go a lot further, and I think it's got to be a lot more fair. And I love to see women's hockey on TV, and I like to see them get paid a fair wage. I mean, concerns with my daughter, she's a good enough player if she wants to play. I just don't know if she has aspirations to do that or not. I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes you go through seasons where you had a bit of a tough season and you get off of the game a bit or something in life and you don't want to do it. But she had a great season this year. Her team had a great year. And, I'll support her in whatever she wants to do. If she wants to move on and play professional girls hockey, I'd love her to do that because I think it teaches a lot of life lessons and it's a great sport and it keeps you in shape. And if they can make a decent, fair wage at doing it, why wouldn't they? And I think they deserve it. And I hope that these girls, the Olympic girls, keep pushing hard from both Canada and the U.S. to see them get what they deserve, the girls hockey. Because I think the girls hockey is great hockey. I love it. I've watched it since Willow was 10. She's 21 now. And I think it's just a great sport and a great hockey. And, they're both different. There's pluses to girls hockey. There's pluses to guys. And there's differences for sure. But I think they definitely deserve more. And I think this is at the tip of the iceberg. And I think they're working at it. And they'll keep doing that.
Here.
I agree, Shane. The speed and the skill on display. We had an event a few weeks ago at Boston, and the young ladies, they're just so incredible. The skill and speed on display is so different than it was 30 years ago. I got to revert back to your first year in Montreal, your first training camp. You take on John Kordick, who was probably one of the toughest guys in the league back then. I mean, I know you fought in junior, but I don't know if you had a fighting label. How did that all come about? And it kind of earned you some respect in the locker room. Did you like fighting? What was your take on all that as you started out?
Well, from all the stories off the ice, I think I didn't mind it. But I mean, I was afraid every time I got into. I was afraid every time I got into a fight. I mean, there's something wrong with you if you're not afraid when you're going to get into a fight, and that was part of, So I came into Montreal. They had just won the Stanley Cup, as we spoke, and I was there, but I didn't get to play. They had a great team, great group of guys, and I just felt that I needed to do something to get noticed in training camp and stand out a little bit. And I thought no better way than to try on Kordick, who was my agent, who I ended up rooming with my first year in Montreal, actually, and got to know him real well. God rest his soul, too. But so I fought him in training camp and actually did pretty good. And I was out of fear. I mean, I was terrified. I knew I wanted to do it and I was going to do it, but I was terrified. But I ended up doing pretty good. And thank God for Chris Nyland, because Knuckles was really good to me when I came into the league and took me under his wing and kind of taught me a little bit more about fighting. I was just all out, just throw as many punches as I could, as quick as I could, and hopefully hit him more than he hit me. And that didn't work at the next level. And thank God he had taught me a few things before I fought Johnny, because I probably would have got knocked on my ass or knocked out. So I had a little bit of a lesson from him. Not only that, I actually did okay. I wouldn't say I won. I said it was a tie, but Johnny was used to, he thought he was going to pummel me and kick the shit out of me, right? And I did pretty good. But so he wanted to fight me again, and Knox came over and said, "You're not fighting him again, Johnny. That's our first rounder. Stay away from him."
Oh, shit.
So I was pretty lucky. And, everybody respected Knuckles Nyland. I mean, the guy did it for a long time and was a really tough guy and was really good to his teammates and did everything. So Johnny stayed away from me for the rest of training camp, and I'm so happy that it happened. I actually ended up fighting him in Quebec, though. He played for Quebec, and I guess he never forgot it. And I ended up fighting him in Quebec, and it didn't go so well as the first one did. Let's just say I had a lot of bumps on my head here, like thinking, oh my God, all these bumps on my head. I can't even get my helmet back on. So he didn't forget.
Was Chelios doing the sauna trick back then when he was going out and boozing? Did you guys have a sauna in the room at that point? Were saunas even created back then?
No, we're not that old, Bizzer. He was doing it, man. I'll tell you right now, we were good friends, Chelly and I. He was just an amazing person, great teammate. And we were tight, really tight. And he could go and he would stay out to the last drink was done, and then we'd head home. But he'd be the first guy at the rink the next day and in the sauna. And he'd be doing his sauna, cold tub. From back then, he'd do it. We didn't have a cold tub at that time. We just had the sauna. But he'd do the sauna. He'd ride the bike in the sauna. He'd do push-ups and sit-ups in the sauna. And this would be before we even went on the ice for practice. So that's how early he'd get here. He was just a machine. The guy's a machine on and off the ice, and one of my closest friends off the ice. And just an incredible dude.
So
but he's got even better. I'll tell you what, with Shelly though, he's a good swimmer, right? Him and Suter are really good swimmers. I'll never forget the night we're at Sir Winston Churchill's. And it's the first time I ever seen him swim the bar, but he jumps up in the bar and swims down the bar and knocking everybody's drinks and glasses all over the land. Oh my God. And then there's Suter right behind him doing the same thing. They were college buddies, I guess. They were good friends, but two beauticians and just great teammates.
Just to get the morale high, just all of a sudden, like you hear all the glass breaking, these guys are swimming across the bar.
I'm just thinking, oh my God, here we go. There's going to be another, we're going to be out of this place real quick. And they just left him. They let him do his thing. He had been there already, and I'm sure he'd done it before in front of them, and they just let him do what he wanted to do. He was like a god in Montreal. He was like a legend in Montreal. They loved him. So he was allowed to do pretty much anything he wanted to do back in the day. You know, things have changed now with telephones and all this stuff. You can't do the things we did back in the day. Not a chance. And I feel bad for the guys. They don't have nearly as much fun as us. That's for sure.
Oh God, no.
I wouldn't trade
all I know is when I had an older player in your generation tell me that with the no cell phones, you just got home from the bar and you checked and you just prayed that red light was blinking, that you had a message. Like, that's old school. That's how you know you can have fun. But I think the summer of 92, you get traded from Montreal to Edmonton and for Vincent Damphousse.
Yeah.
Now, as a guy who got traded mid-season of a team who won the Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh, shout out Chris Kunitz, did you have any chance when you got dealt that they would have had a chance to like go on and win the Cup that next year?
I mean, I would never count the Canadians out, especially with Patrick Waugh, right? Patty Waugh was just incredible. He could win a championship all on his own. He was that good. And he just seemed to play even better in the playoffs. And the Bruins fans have seen him for many years. He could win hockey games on his own. So I never counted them out. But no, I didn't. I wasn't sure that they were that good enough to win, but I knew they were good. But with Patty, like I said, we never count them out. And I mean, getting traded was, like I said, I can't watch I've never won a Stanley Cup, so I can't watch guys carry the Stanley Cup around after the game. Like, I just turn the TV off after the game's over right away. I don't want to watch that. And I mean, I'm happy for all of them. And I'm even happy for Vinny Damphousse. I mean, he played his whole life wanting to win that Stanley Cup and worked hard. And he's a great player. And I actually ended up playing with Vinny when I went back to Montreal my second stint. He's just a super guy, a good teammate. So I'm happy as can be for him that he won the Cup. But it was definitely really hard on me watching them carry the Cup around. But at the same time, super happy for the organization, super happy for all those guys in that team, because I played for a lot of them. And they deserve it. They worked hard, and they were the best team that year.
And what an interesting spot. You're in Edmonton, and the difference being, I mean, this is post-dynasty. Everyone's pretty much moved on. You said, I think Tikkanen was there.
Yeah.
It must have been hard coming from such a winning culture to go into a place that all of a sudden overnight just was so different than the prior 10 years.
Yeah, it was. But it was a different chapter in my life. I mean, I like you said, with being in Montreal for the first 6 years, we had a chance to go deep in the playoffs every year. And we did most of the years, other than the 1 year. I think we lost to Boston. I think that's where all the changes started happening. We lost to Boston, I think 4-1. My second last year there, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 88. That was when they finally beat the Jinx. Nearly owned. Wow.
One of the years.
I was at that game. I was at Ray Bork scored in the clincher.
Yeah, so things started changing then. But I mean, going to Edmonton, it was a different chapter. You're right. The dynasty was gone. We were a pretty young team. We weren't winning a lot. It was tough. I mean, we all love to win. I mean, it's not always all about, well, yeah, it is. It's always about winning. Let's be honest. But we had a great group of guys there, and it was just I learned a lot from those guys there. And my experience there, I loved Edmonton, like the city itself. I just enjoyed it because they love their old school, hardworking, blue collar people that love guys that come and play the game the way I played it. So I was treated really fairly and really well there. But it was a tough time in my career, and ended up signing as a restricted free agent in St. Louis after that. But definitely a big change going from Montreal to Edmonton. But I did still really enjoy it. I made some great friends there too. Luke Richardson, Dave Manson's a beautician, Kelly Buckberger, Louis DeBrusk is a great person. I mean, Louis was an amazing person and was great for our team. And I could just go on and on about the whole group of guys. Earnest and Dougie Waite was there at the time, great hockey player. Bernie Nichols was hilarious. Klima was just a beautician, like double time.
I mean, you must have some Esa Tikkanen stories. Which just mentioned him, but he's a savage,
Tick is one of the best hockey players I ever played with. And I mean, he was the word, like people ask me who chirped the most or who was like the biggest rat on the team that you ever played with. And I'd say Tick, but like every time he was chirping, nobody could understand him. We were his teammates. We couldn't understand him. It was, what did you say, Tech? And he'd be chirping at the other team and nobody would even understand what he was saying. But that guy was so competitive and so intense and a great hockey player. And there's another guy that doesn't get the credit he deserves. He could do it offensively and defensively. And he did it all. He killed penalties, played the power play. He was just a super player and a great hockey player. And he liked to have a good time off the ice too. Most Finns do.
Yeah. So we've heard. Now, we mentioned St. Louis. You signed there as a free agent on July 28th, 1995. Why did you settle on St. Louis? What was the main decision there?
To be honest, I was a restricted free agent. It was the only offer I had on the table. I mean, back then, back then, there was not much movement in restricted free agent. I think there was only 2 or 3 players at that time had moved. I think there was the Shanahan, the Stevens deal, and then I don't know if there was another one or not by then, but I know. And it was tough. I was trying to deal with Glenn Sather, who was the GM at the time, and he was an amazing GM. Like, that guy was incredible. He even coached us for a while, but he didn't want to give me the money, and I actually gave him the opportunity to match it Canadian dollars, because back then we were paid in Canadian dollars in Canada, and then when you went to the States, you got U.S. dollars. And I liked it so much in Edmonton. I said, I'll play for what they offered me in U.S. dollars for Canadian dollars, and he didn't want to do it. He had a number in his head, and you talk to anybody from Edmonton, he's a tough negotiator, and he wouldn't give in. And then when I signed with him, he called me and goes, I treated you like a son, and he was pissed off at me. But I mean, I had to do what was best for me, and I knew that St. Louis had a really good team too. At that point, they had some really good key players, and I had played for Keenan before in the Canada Cup in '91, and I knew that he liked the style of play I played, and I knew I'd get the opportunity to play in good situations and get to play with good players. So, but quite honestly, as a restricted free agent, it was really the only other offer I had on the table, and I jumped on it.
And I think, just for our younger listeners, back then the compensation was so much different. Like, you signed with St. Louis, and as a result of that, the Edmonton Oilers were awarded Curtis Joseph.
Yeah,
as a result of that signing. And same thing when the Blues signed, was it Kevin Stevens, and then Shanahan went to the Devils. So it was such a crazy system back then. But then you ended up getting the captaincy. But that must have been a little awkward because Brett Hull had it before you. Yeah,
well, going back to the other stuff, there used to be, you could either get pickups like first round picks or second round picks, or like put them together, a package. But they ended up giving Cujo and Mike Greer, who actually turned into being a really good player too. Mike Greer was a good right winger and played really well for the Oilers. So, I mean, I loved playing in St. Louis, and I thought I did a pretty good job the short time I was there. But they did really well too. Curtis Joseph, who I played with later, is just a great person and a great goaltender. Obviously, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. And Mike Greer was a heck of a hockey player too. And then I went to, like you said, I went to St. Louis, and I was a captain I was actually captain in Edmonton too. I was named captain by the Oilers, but when I was doing my contract and all that, and got into a bit of a battle with George Burnett, who was my coach, a young coach, and I was a young captain. He wanted me to do some things that I didn't think were right for a captain to do. And so we just had different views on what a captain should be. So we kind of decided that it probably wasn't the best idea that I'd be the captain. And not only that, the contract situation wasn't going well. So I just thought it was best that I wasn't wearing the C at that time. And I ended up leaving and going to St. Louis. And saying that, you're right. It was really awkward. I mean, they took the C off of Brett Hull, who I think is one of the greatest players, and just one of the most funny guys I've ever played with, and one of the most talented players I played with, because I played with him and Gretz in St. Louis on the line when Gretz came to St. Louis in the trade. But it was really tough. Yeah, I mean, it's an honor to wear the captaincy, and I enjoyed it. But I only wore it for a short period of time there too, because I was more than happy to give it to Wayne Gretzky, who was one of the greatest players ever. And he didn't want it, but he deserved it, and he should have it. And to be honest, I was kind of happy to get rid of it at the time. I got it in a situation I didn't really want it. I mean, Holly was a great player. He's a Hall of Famer, and he was definitely one of the leaders of our teams. And it was just him and Mike didn't get along great, and that's why it happened.
Yeah. Were you there? Were you there the time when he made him serve the too many men penalty?
No, I would have loved to see that. I've heard a lot of Holly stories, but I would have loved to see that one. But I mean, Holly, I remember one where they told Holly to go serve the penalty. He said, "No, I don't serve penalties." And they said, "No, you're going to serve the penalty." So he went and served the penalty, and he comes out of the penalty box, and sure enough, he gets a breakaway. And that's the thought process I'm putting some of your top players for the coaches nowadays, is they think he comes out of the box, maybe get a breakaway. Holly gets on a breakaway, goes down the ice and dumps it in the corner, and comes back to the bench and says, "I told you, don't serve fucking penalties." So in a breakaway, he dumps it in the corner. So I've heard that story, and Holly's one of the most more talented players I've ever played with, one of the funniest guys. He's got some of the best one-liners I've ever heard. And it's even sometimes towards you, but you got to laugh about it. Like, I remember we were playing together, him and I, and Gretz wasn't there yet. And I think for some reason, they put Twister on our line for a shift because there was guys like running around and taking advantage of Holly more so than me and kind of beat me up. But we were more worried about Holly, to be honest with you. He's the 70 goal scorer, right? So we come back to the bench though, and Holly turns around to Keane and goes, "Get him off our fucking line right now." And Twister would just laugh because he knew too. Right? But that's just Holly, right? Like that's Holly. And he didn't mean anything by it. He was just a funny person. But that kid could play the game. I mean, people ask me about him. He's funny. He's a good. He was always really good to me, and he's funny as hell, and he can play the game, and he can play. He's not just a goal scorer. That guy could pass the puck, and he was good defensively too. That guy was a hell of a hockey player.
In St. Louis, you played with the man who would be the final person to ever play an NHL game without a helmet on, and Craig McTavish. Yeah. At the time, did guys think he was nuts? Or was it just like, this is what he's always done? Or was it starting to be like, dude, you're the only person that doesn't have a lid on?
I'm going to tell you, I got to play with Mac T in Edmonton and St. Louis. And
he would headbutt people and shit too, right? People. He was an animal.
He'd be on the face-offs, and I'd be like, and he's headbutting him. He has no helmet on. They have helmet on. And I'm going like, what are you doing, Mac? He was an animal. Mac T was one of the most competitive players. Another guy that I played with was so competitive. Nobody knew it. He held everything in, but he was competitive. And he didn't say a lot. But when he did, people listened to him. They respected Craig McTavish. And I remember getting traded from St. Louis. I can't remember if we were in Colorado. Me and Murray Barron got traded to Montreal for Pierre Turgeon and Conroy, who turned into a pretty good player. And then I think it was Fitzpatrick. Never played. I don't think he played, or maybe played a couple games. But I remember walking in the room. Keenan just had somebody point at us and told us to go see Keenan. That's how he did it, right? He'd walk in, he goes, "You're traded." He had no feelings. He just did it, and that was it. But I remember walking in the room, and we had a close group of guys in St. Louis. We had that good run in the playoffs when we traded for Gretz. And I remember like guys were in tears, and Mac T was one of them. And Mac T said some really kind things about Murray Barron and myself after we had left the team. And that's just the type of person he was. He was just a great leader and competitive and just crazy. But I mean, I didn't wear a visor or wear a mouth guard. And I thought that was stupid or crazy, whatever you want to call it. And he was out there flying around with no helmet on. It wasn't like he played, like, and his hair looked great and everything. It was always in place, but it wasn't like he played a soft game either. Like he played a nasty, mean, tough game. He played
check
the game
forward.
Oh yeah. He played hard every night. And like what said though, it's funny, but he's serious. When he would go into a face-off, he was headbutting the other guy, and it didn't even matter if the other guy had a helmet on. He didn't. He was just an unbelievable player and intense player.
Shayne, February, like you said, you guys get Gretzky your first year in St. Louis. Did any guys in the room have any idea it was going to happen? Was it a total surprise? Take us through that whole journey of getting Wayne Gretzky at the trade deadline.
I mean, there's, anytime you see a teammate get traded, no matter who it's for, you're going to miss them, right? But there was rumblings and we all knew, well, Keenan, come on, he makes trades all the time just for making a trade. It didn't matter if it was going to help the team or not. He needed to make a trade or two, but we knew there was rumblings about a trade happening, but we didn't know we were getting Wayne Gretzky, the best player to play the game. And when we got him, the whole dressing room just lifted up. And saying that, obviously we're going to miss the guys that we just traded because they were part of our team, and they were younger guys who were just coming up and trying to. I mean, there were guys I had over at my house for Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving dinners because they were young guys. They were on their own, so I wanted to have them at my place. But to get the best player in the world, you knew your chances of doing well in the playoffs were a lot greater. And I'll say it again, and that means a lot to me. Though he's just a great player, but he was just a great person and a great leader. And to have him come over and be the captain of our hockey team and just give us that extra boost to going into the playoffs in the second half of the season was incredible.
I know there's a lot of scuttlebutt that Mike Keenan treated him like every other guy. Is that accurate? Did he treat him like every other guy in the room? Or did he give him a little leeway because he was Wayne Gretzky?
He gave him a little leeway because he was Wayne Gretzky. Let me tell you that. They consider saying that Mike was hard on a lot of guys, and I mean you got to get the best of the players. I am a big believer. I've learned it more over my career and over my life. Is you got to treat people a little bit differently. You can't whack and beat people and get like with me. You could do that to me. You could beat me and harp at me and be on me all the time, and you get the best of me. And then the other guys would just tell you to fuck off. I'm not taking that. And Holly be one of them. Don't do that to Holly. Just you got to encourage him and be good with him. But he gave Gretz some leeway for sure. And who didn't? I mean, anybody that ever played against him, played with him, you always gave Wayne Gretzky leeway because he's the greatest player to play the game. I mean, I love Gordie Howe and Bobby Orr, and Mary Lemieux was another unbelievable great player that I was drafted the same year. But everybody gave Wayne Gretzky a little bit of leeway. I think anybody that even played against him would say that. But in saying that, Keenan was hard on almost everybody else, and Holly was one of the guys he was the hardest on. But I look back and I think that he did that because he knew how good those guys were and wanted to get the best out of his best players, but sometimes you have to use a different angle with different players. It's just different personalities.
Were the fuck you matches pretty common with Keenan? Would you go in the office and ever hash it out with him?
Well, I'll tell you, I had a few with Mike, and I seen a few with Mike and Holly. Holly actually threw a skate at him once. But I had more. I had more.
Back up.
Yeah,
Threw a skate at him.
Yeah, he didn't mean to hit him. I think Holly was throwing it for more for the show for the boys in the room because we got a pretty good kick out of it. But I mean, there was one time when I went into this is when I had made captain, and he called me into his office. Mike did, and I remember I think it was Jimmy Roberts was the assistant coach there at the time, and I think it was who was the other assistant coach? Used to wipe the white towel on the stick in Vancouver there. Anyways, they're sitting in the room there, and Keenan has called me in, and I don't know. I go, what the heck does he want me to come in there? And he calls me, and he sits me, and I goes, when are you going to fucking grab Brett Hall by the throat? I said, what? And I'm sitting there, what? And I'm thinking, I didn't even know what to say. I'm just sitting there, I go, what? And he goes, when are you going to grab Holly by the throat? And I said, never. I'm not going to grab one of my teammates by the throat. I mean, he's one of the greatest players to play the game, and he's a Hall of Famer, and I'm not going to do that. And he expected me to, like, he wanted me, and that's the way Mike was. Mike wanted you to, get guys going and motivate them and even be like a little bit more aggressive with them. And I couldn't do that. Sure enough, the next game I didn't play a whole lot, but that's okay. Holly was a great teammate. And I think there was just so much animosity between those two that it was hard. It was hard for them both to be in the same dressing room on the same team at the same time. And I think a lot of it was, Holly was a great player, and Mike, for me, was a great coach, but I just think their personalities didn't match very well, and it was just something that I don't think they could exist in the same dressing room on the same hockey team. But it was a crazy moment at that time. But the fuck you matches were more with Burnsy. Pat Burns was like a father to me, and I played for him for 6 years, and it was incredible to me. But I'll never forget the time. And we all know we've done this before. We're playing, and we think we're like some of the, maybe having one of the better years in the team. We should be playing more than we are. So I never forget it. We're in the Montreal Forum. We're playing. And Reese was playing with me, and I think might have been Gilles Thibodeau or something like that, or Screwy was playing on with us at that time, Brian Scrutlin. And that's a year that Reese had 50 goals the year before and was on pace to get another 50. And we're in the game, and to be honest, we're terrible. We're playing like shit, and we knew it, but we still thought we should be playing. Burnsy calls us off the ice, and I slammed the gate. Whit and Biz, that's the way we tell the coach we're not happy, right? So I slammed the gate. I see him look down at me, doesn't say anything. We go back in the ice a couple shifts later, same thing. He pulls us off the ice after about 20 seconds. So I come in, I slam the gate a little bit harder, and he comes down and looks, leans over and goes into my ear, you do that fucking again, you're gone. Now I'm thinking, oh, really? Yeah, okay. He won't do that to me, right? So 3 shifts later, we're near the end of the second period. I come off the ice. I thought it was a short shift. I slam the gate. He comes down, grabs me by the back of the jersey, yanks me off the bench, and goes, get the fuck off the bench. Go to the room and get undressed. You're done for the rest of the game.
Oh, my goodness.
And I went back on my back, and I'm on the back of the floor, laying there looking up at the roof. And all I can see is all the banners of the great Montreal Canadiens players that played there. And I'm thinking, what did I just do, right? And at the old forum, where you got to walk by the bench, all the top dogs, the Rocket Richard, John Beliveau, our president, Ronald Corey, and I am with my tail between my legs, walking off the bench, go into the room, and I'm thinking, what am I going to do now? And he's pissed. Burnsy's got red, his cheeks got red, and his ears are red, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, I'm dead. He walks in the room, and I'm sitting there, and he starts yelling at me, you fucking this, and you're terrible, you're playing awful tonight, and you want to backtalk me and slam the gate. You're done. Take all your gear off, because I had half my gear off. So I didn't know what to do. So I went in the back room, or the stick room, where we cut our sticks and curved them and shit. That's when Wood was in, Bizzer and Whit. You guys might not know when Wood sticks were out, but anyways. And I'm sitting, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm done. Like, they're going to trade me now, or I'm going to go to the minors or something, right? Larry Robbins comes in the room and talking about Larry being a leader. He comes in the room. I hear him talking to the guys a bit. I see him walk out of the hallway into Burnsy's dressing room, because I could see Burnsy's dress from where I was. And I kind of was, when I went out there, I was hoping maybe he'd come and talk to me after Burnsy. We didn't. Larry goes into the room. I see him come out. He comes down to me, he goes, put your gear back on, kid. I said, what? He goes, put your gear back on. So I went back in, put my gear back on, played in the third period. Burnsy played the shit out of me, and everything was forgotten. That's the type of guy Larry Robinson is.
Wow.
He went in and talked.
That's an old school story.
That's an old school story. And he's just one of those guys that he's got your back, and he was a great teammate. And that just shows the respect that Pat Burns had for Larry Robinson too. And it was lucky that I had people like that around me to saved me a few times because trust me, I probably deserved more than what I got. I probably should have been out of the game and missed a few games after that, but Larry saved my butt.
What was your stat line in the third?
Had a lot of ice time. I don't think I got anything. I don't think I got anything, but I played a lot, but I might have.
You speared somebody too, I'm sure.
Third assist, +1.
I might have got a 5th assist and a +2. I don't know, but I speared a few guys. That's another story. Coming out of the penalty box, but we'll tell that one another time.
Yeah, round 2 and 3 for us. You say in 91 you made the Canada Cup team, and then in 98 you played in the Olympics in is it Nagano? So 96 World Cup, did you get snubbed or were you injured? What happened there?
No, I got snubbed.
Really? And then they lost. Fuck, they're missing Corso.
Who's that GM?
They missed Corso in 98. Corso was there in 98. We didn't win the medal, buddy, so it wasn't.
Well, Gretz didn't go in the shootout.
Oh, yeah, man, guys. Yeah. Let me tell you.
So much to talk about.
For me, the Olympics for me was probably one of the greatest moments of my career in my life, and one of the most upsetting and disappointing years of my times of my career. I mean, getting the opportunity to go play in the Olympics in '98 and play with some of the greatest players. I actually played with Lindros on a line that year. It was supposed to be Paul Kariya because we played together in the World Championships the year before, but Kariya got hurt. Suter had hit him and he had the concussion thing. But I mean, to go there and play and be a part of the opening ceremonies and play with all the other athletes. And that's what, for me, stands out, is to play with all these other amateur athletes. And they open their arms to us, professional athletes that got paid to play a game we love to play. And you see all these athletes make these sacrifices and come here, and their race or their event could be over within a second. And they just spent 4 years of their life working for it and not getting paid to do it. And they had to work other jobs to do it. So it just taught me a lesson that I was so lucky and fortunate to play a game that I love to play. It would have probably played for free, but they wanted to pay me for it, so why not? I'll take the paycheck. But to be a part of that and just to get to meet all the other athletes and participate in watching their events, it was just an incredible feeling to be around all the other athletes from all the other countries and eating in the same cafeteria and different food was just incredible. But to lose, to see in the semifinal game and to lose in a shootout to Hasek and the Czech team, and to have Wayne Gretzky sit beside, he was actually sitting right beside me. And I mean, every time there was a player picked to go in the shootout, and we had great players, don't get me wrong. Ray Bourque was my roommate at the Olympics with Fleury and Keith Primo were our room. It was Borky, me, Primo, and Fleury were our room. But, I mean, Ray Bourque would be the first one to say, how many breakaways does he get, right? And you got the best player sitting on the bench. And every time somebody was picked, I'm looking over my shoulder like at Crawford thinking, when's Gretzky going, the greatest player? And he was built for this. I mean, he's going to score probably. Yeah. When doesn't he score, right? So to lose like that and to see the greatest player in the game, or one of the greatest players to play in my personal opinion, the greatest player, not shoot, it was one of the biggest disappointments. And then to top it off, we go into the bronze game, and you know how hockey players are. We want the Stanley Cup or the gold medal or nothing at that point.
Yeah, it's hard to get fired up for that.
Yeah, but then you look back, right, Whit and Bizzer and Ari, you look back, you go, why didn't we play a great game that game and get a bronze medal? How many people get a bronze medal from the Olympics? It could be, somewhere in my house. I don't know. I might have it in the basement or in somewhere, but
I remember.
I wish we would have played harder.
I remember World Juniors too getting that speech. We lost semis to Canada and Halifax, and then had Finland. We lost the game. We didn't get the bronze, but before the game, the coach was talking about you guys got to you don't understand how big a medal would be. It's very true. And at the time, as players, you didn't care about anything, especially Canadians, right? You were looking for gold. Yeah,
you're right. Well, that's the thing. We were looking for gold. We were so down and depressed, and we didn't really care. We didn't really want to play the game. And then the Czechs ended up winning the gold medal. And guess what? They asked for our plane to fly home. We had a charter plane, and you know what the Canadians said?
Fuck off.
Not a fucking chance, boys.
Get your own. Like Canadians.
Get your own plane. Get your own plane. You're flying on it. You can get your own way home. You won the gold medal. Enjoy it.
Wow.
I got to ask, was it talked about in the locker room right after, or was it still pretty somber, or what's the feeling in there?
After the shootout?
Yeah.
It was pretty, it was pretty somber in there. Nobody really said a whole lot. And I got to tell you, Gretz was so, you know how he is, you guys, you've been around him. He's so classy and he never say anything in front of anybody. He just did everything with class. And, we went out for beers, Japanese beers after, smaller group, 8 of us, and I think he made his true feelings well known that he wasn't the happiest, but he accepted the coach's decision. But he thinks he should have been in the shootout, and he's probably 1,000,000,000,000% right. He should have been in that shootout. So I think everybody was disappointed and frustrated and pissed off that he wasn't in the shootout. But again, you have to respect the coaches and their decisions.
I mean, what did Crawford say in the media?
I didn't read a whole lot of media at that time. I didn't, but I think he made some excuse, and we did do it. We practiced the shootouts every practice after practice, and I think the goalies had some input on who was good on shootouts and all that. But I mean, at that point, you got 20 of the best players from Canada. I think they're all pretty good, but you got the best player in the world sitting on your bench. I think you're going to send them in on a breakaway. So I don't get what went on there. I don't know if there's a backstory to all of it. I just don't know. I don't understand it. Never will understand it, and I'll never forget it. That it's something that I just can't believe that he didn't go in the shootout. And to this day, I don't know, and I don't know the excuse. And I mean, you guys should get him on and ask him.
Yeah, I
Can you get him for us?
Shayne, I wanted to ask that, Lindros was named the captain. Bobby Clarke was the GM of the team. It wasn't Gretzky. It wasn't Bourque. It wasn't Eisman. How did the vets in the room react to the fact that this young stud was, the captain of the Canadian Olympic team at the time?
I think everybody honestly was looking at it like it was kind of the passing the torch.
Okay.
The next group of players. I mean, you named three guys who were well-deserving of the captaincy, and Ray Bourque, who I've become close with. He was my roommate at the Olympics, and I've stayed in touch with Bourque, and he's just an incredible person, great leader, and would have loved to play with him and played for him as him being our captain. And obviously Gretzky was a great captain. I honestly think that they were looking towards the next years and having those guys around to teach him the ropes a little bit, where Bourque and Mess and those guys, Eisman, could all teach him the ropes about being a captain on a Team Canada team. There's a lot of pressure. And I think even sometimes more so than your team club, right? With representing your whole country, there's a lot of pressure on you. They expect a lot from you. So I think they were just thinking for the future, and to have those guys still around and at the top of their game to help him and pass the torch to him and teach him the ropes of being a good captain for Canada.
And also Bobby Clarke keeping his captain happy.
Yeah, and you know what? 100% right, Clark. And Bobby Clarke and Bob Clarke and Bob Gainey were our GMs. So both of them being GMs helped me get on the team too. I'm not gonna I know that for a fact. And actually, Bob Gainey was a big fan of mine. So I think having him in my corner definitely helped me get on that team for sure. And let's face it, boys, and we all know it. Politics plays a game in hockey, women's hockey, men's hockey, and at every level. So let's not kid ourselves. So that's what I mean by you got to get a break. You got to have somebody that believes in you and gives you that opportunity to be successful and do great things.
I mean, we haven't even covered Toronto yet. We've been going long here. Let's dive into that quickly.
Keep going.
Yeah, Toronto was. You know what? I mean, it was hard. I'll be honest. I love playing in Montreal. They gave me an opportunity to play in the game and realize my dream, and it was just an incredible place to play. The city was amazing to me. The organization treated me like gold, and I had a really tough time at that time. I was going through some mental health illness issues, and I think a big part of it was, do I sign in Toronto where my brother-in-law is playing and my sisters are close by, my mom's close by, my dad died at 45. All my friends are here in Toronto. I grew up a Leaf fan. Do I sign in Toronto or do I go to stay in Montreal? Because Montreal offered me a contract. Do I stay in Montreal where I have family and friends in Montreal too, right? My wife's from Montreal. Two of my kids were born in Montreal. One was born in St. Louis, one in Edmonton. But I had a lot of ties in Montreal too. So it was a tough decision, but ultimately, and then I could have went to Philly too. Philly offered me something, talking about Bobby Clarke. They had offered me a contract too in Philly, and would have been a fun place to play in Philly. But it all came down to being close to my family and my friends and looking at the team. The Leafs had a great team at that time. They had Cujo and Net, and they had Sundin and McGillney and some great players here. And I made the decision to come home and play for my team that I dreamed of playing for my whole life. And it was an unbelievable feeling to put that Leaf jersey on and to put 27 on. Being Daryl Sittler was one of my favorite players. Him and Bobby Clarke and Trottier were three of my favorite players. To put his jersey on, and the Maple Leaf jersey, was pretty incredible. But it was one of the toughest decisions I ever made.
I'll touch on the mental health stuff. I mean, you've been a pretty big advocate for it. You've been very open about it. Now, did you say it started when you first got to Toronto?
No, I had suffered. I knew I had anxiety, and I have colitis. I was diagnosed with colitis when I was 15, and it's got something to do with stress and nerves too. I think the colitis, I really believe that. It's Crohn's and colitis. But I suffered from anxiety all the way through my life, and it just got worse. And then when my dad passed away, it went to another level. My dad passed away. I tried to medicate with alcohol and Ativan and different things. And then it just escalated as I went through my career. And then I think I hit rock bottom when I was in Toronto for sure. But when I was trying to make that decision to leave Montreal and come to Toronto or go somewhere else, it's when it really went into like high gear. And I started having really bad panic attacks and thinking I was having a heart attack or dying and my heart was going to stop beating. and all kinds of stuff. And so it escalated when I came to Toronto, and then when I left the team in the playoffs that year, there was all kinds of rumors flying around, all bunch of shit, and I don't even care what was said. I really don't care. The people know me, know who I am and what I'm about. And I left the team and I got the help I needed to get help. And if I wouldn't have got that help, to be honest, guys, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys today. So I'm lucky.
Shayne, do you think the same thing would have happened in a different city? Was it destined to happen, or did it happen because you were in Toronto at that particular time?
I don't think it had anything to do with the city I was in, to be honest. I mean, the pressure of playing in Montreal and Toronto and Edmonton, like hockey towns that love their hockey. I love the pressure of the game of hockey. I think it's everything else around the hockey. And I honestly believe it. I never dealt with my dad's death properly either, and it's something that I needed to do, and I finally dealt with that. But there's just life, and everybody goes through pressures and emotions, and it's okay to be not okay. You're not alone. You're going to have ups and downs, and it's finding the tools that work for you to help you get through those times. And that's what I learned when I actually finally took the time to admit that I needed the help first of all, and then to get the proper help, because everybody's help is different, and the support that I needed. But everybody's help is different, and what they need to get better is different than the next person. And that's something I learned. So I got the tools now and trust me, I have tough times from every day. Like I have days where they're not great, but I have the tools to deal with those things. So I don't think it's necessarily where it happened. I just think it was going to happen. I should have dealt with it years ago, and it wouldn't have escalated to where it got to.
Isn't it so wild that, like, as amazing as your dream coming true and making it to the NHL is, like, a lot of the stuff that kind of goes on away from the rink might be like amazing memories, but it's probably not healthy for guys too. I mean, the way you party and the way you go out and you're living the fast life, not just saying you, like so many guys, and then you're having a blast and you just get a little older and you're like, oh, like that's not good for you as a person. So it is harder as you get older and out of the game. And I'm happy for you that you were able to really get the help you needed.
Yeah. Thanks, Whit. I mean, you're 100% right though. The lifestyle we live, and definitely doesn't help. I mean, and some guys go to the extreme. I mean, I've never done drugs in my entire life. I mean, alcohol is a drug, but alcohol was my choice. And I did it a lot. It was a way to escape my pain of losing my father and other stresses in life. And I did it a lot. I mean, I got into the Ativan and got hooked on Ativan too, on top of that. So drinking and doing Ativan. And I got to a point where, one Ativan would put most people to sleep, and I was taking 8 to 10 a day late in my career. And even in between periods and before practices. So it was tough, but like you said, I got the support that I needed and the help, and I'm doing better. And I mean, it's a battle every day, and I've got the right people and the right things around me, but definitely the way we live, the sleeping is different. And that's not even our fault. We get in late at night, we get to bed at 2, 3 in the morning, and, maybe you take an Ativan to get to sleep or something. You have a couple beers to try to get to sleep, and then we're eating at different times all the time. So the lifestyle, which people don't understand, is, it's fun and it's awesome. And we're lucky for sure. I would never do anything different. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Hockey's given me everything, my friendships, my memories, and paid me good money to play a sport I would have played for free. But it's all the other things outside of the game that people don't see, and the stresses and the decisions you have to make, and the stresses it puts on your families and your friends and stuff. And as people, we're human beings. We make mistakes too. I made mistakes off the ice and made mistakes financially sometimes and different things. And that certain type of person, that those things wear on you. So it's tough, but like I said, you just got to find and admit that you need help, get the help, and get the proper help. So yeah, I've been lucky, and I appreciate that you brought that up.
It's such a separation from reality, especially when it ends up being all over too, right? Yeah. It's like you're not only being stripped of your livelihood, but it's just like you go from essentially being desensitized to a lot of things. You live this fast-paced lifestyle, and now it's not there. But I appreciate you being very vocal about it though, man, because there's so many people out there that are dealing with a lot of issues and mental health problems. So I know it's a tough way to end this conversation. RA, I'll throw it over to you. I think you had one more.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shayne, a lot of guys, especially my generation, I know we're only a few years apart, they're hard guys. They don't want to talk about their feelings, and I'm from that generation as well. But what do you suggest to other guys who are struggling with that first step to just say, hey, man, I need fucking help? I think that is the hardest part for guys to admit. And yes, it's guys. It's more specific to men than women. Like, how do I get help? What's the easiest way to say I need help to somebody?
Well, RA, you're right. I was from the same cloth. And I think all the guys that are on this podcast are probably from the same cloth. I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing to do. That's why I hid it for so many years. I was afraid to. I was embarrassed. I was shy. I thought it was a weakness. I thought maybe, competitors would take it as a weakness too and use it. And back in the day, they probably would have used it. That's just the way the game was back then. But honestly, the first step is just to admit you need the help and then to ask for the help. And it's that easy. It sounds easy, and it's not, because it's not easy to do it. It took me years to admit that I needed the help and to get that help. But I always stick to a couple things, and it's okay not to be okay, and you're not alone. And the biggest, when I finally left the Leafs in the playoffs, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, because I love the game of hockey, and I love playoff time. There's nothing better than the playoff time. But I knew that if I didn't leave after that game, I might not be around today, or the next day back then. But I wouldn't be around today if I didn't. And I went and got the help I needed. But what I would say to them is, if you don't, it's only gonna get worse. And then you're not gonna be around. It's gonna hurt a lot of other people around you, not just yourself. And that's something I started thinking about, that, how it would hurt my family, my kids, my wife, my friends, my mom, my sisters. And I just got to the point where I wanted to live. I wanted to be around still. So I knew that I needed to ask for the help. And as soon as I left and left the Leafs and realized I needed the help, I felt 100 times better. It's like they took a piano off my back. And and then when I started talking about it, and that's why I love doing podcasts like this, and I love talking to people like you that understand both sides of it and get it, because you can use your platform to help people. Because we talk about all the hockey stuff, and they're great stories and they're fun, and I would never change. I still have those, and I can't wait to come to Boston and have some fun with you guys and tell some more stories, whether it's on the podcast or not. But when a kid came up to me and said, "You helped me, you saved my life by talking about your struggles with mental health," that's, for me, is more important than anything I did in hockey. Yeah. And it always will be. And that's why I love doing these things. But for me, it would just be, and you said it already, ask for the help, and don't be shy, and don't be embarrassed. And it's not a sign of weakness at all. It's an illness. It's not a sign of weakness. It's like getting a torn ligament in your knee. You can go to the doctor. There's doctors out there that can help you. You're not alone, and you can get through it. You can get better, and you can live a somewhat normal life if you do the right things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to getting to meet you in person and go over some more parts of your career, because there's so much to cover. And I think that everyone that's listening, especially to the end, is going to enjoy and understand where you were coming from. So we appreciate it.
By the way, Shayne, get my number from Grinelli so you can text me next time you're in Boston. We got to get a couple cold ones down.
Yeah.
You're down here.
You'll get sick of me. I'll be texting you so much when I get down. I'm on a roll of dice. I got to tell you guys, I really appreciate you having me on. I'm besides the hockey stuff, you guys have done a great job, and just keep doing what you're doing, because it's fun as hell, and it helps guys like me get on here and tell our stories, because we can live in the past a little bit. So it's fun for us. And then you give up the opportunity for people to use your platform to help other people. And I think it's just incredible. And not only that, you've been successful. So good for you guys. I'm really happy for all of you.
More than anything, Shayne, thank you for opening up at the end. I think that a lot of people are really going to like that. And, it takes a lot of strength. So thank you so much. The stories at the beginning were out of control, man. That's exactly what our fans love as well. So looking forward to grabbing some pops in person, man. Yeah, I'd love to see you guys and get to know you even better and have some fun with you in person. And also, Shayne, we want to thank your daughter's teammate, Molly Slow. She was a huge integral part of hooking this up. We bumped into her at the Pink Whitney Cup a few weeks ago. Awesome kid. She facilitated this whole thing. So huge thanks to Molly Slow at Boston College for making this happen. Yeah, I got to say that Molly is a great girl, and her family are great people. And Willow's been lucky enough to come to Boston, play at Boston College, and meet a lot of good people. Because most of the kids are from the Boston area. They're just incredible people, and they've been really good with Willow and super good to me. And I'll tell you what, never mind about the boys' hockey. The girls' hockey, they can party. I've been out a few nights with them. This place? All right, now we got plans. In this place, boys, I went to Donahue's and the Circle Tavern. I had the best time of life with the girls. We'll have to send them a case of Pink Whitney so they can maybe celebrate next year's rookie party. Hey, trust me, they love the stuff. They love the stuff. Yeah, they do. Right. They love it. They love it. It's hard to get up here in Canada. It's hard to get up here in Canada, guys. Sold out all the time. Yeah, we'll have to get a better steady stream going. We'll have to get you a Pink Whitney shot machine. Then we're talking. Hey, don't get me started, guys. Because that's the problem. I'm going to tell you one thing. That's the problem with me. I only have one speed, whatever I do. I'm shocked to hear that. Hey, Whit,
Full throttle, boys. That's what we
Hey,
always
as long
say.
as we're not getting any fucking bar fights.
Zero,
Yeah, that's all.
boys.
And we're not going to Hamilton.
The O'Doyle's rule. O'Doyle's rule.
Bizzer, Wit, RA. Trust me, boys. People laugh at me now. When I get drunk, I'm the hugger. I just want to hug
you're the
everybody.
sensitive
You're the
guy.
happy guy.
I'm just a happy guy, man. And we don't even have to say anything to each other. This is what we do.
I went from the fighter to the fucker to the hugger. Same here. That was my progression.
Well, guess what? That's a good progression, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, see you, boys.
Man, huge thanks to Shayne Corson for jumping on us. That was a blast. That was, like we said, after it didn't feel like work when we were doing it. Just an unreal interview, great vibes, and hopefully he'll be in Boston. I have a few pops with him soon. But all right, gang, are you celebrating the special woman in your life? Well, Mother's Day is just around the corner, and there are tons of anniversaries this time of year. On BlueNile.com, you can easily navigate thousands of fine jewelry options at every price point. Pick from a vast selection of preset diamond jewelry because Blue Nile offers endless options of carats, metals, and settings that are ready to ship the same day, or you can build your own diamond jewelry with online tools that seamlessly walk you through the process. Blue Nile is different from their competitors. They don't mark up to mark down, meaning BlueNile.com's everyday prices are competitive to other online retailers' sale prices. Also, Blue Nile has over 165,000 ratings and counting, with 90% at 4 stars or higher. Not perfect? No problem. Blue Nile has a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop stress-free with guaranteed free shipping and returns. And their expert advice is available 24/7. And when you commit to a piece, so does Blue Nile with guaranteed service and repair for life. This Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Spittin Chiclets listeners get $50 off your purchase of over $500. This podcast exclusive is only good for Chiclets listeners. Once again, use the code Chiclets, CHICLETS. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free on BlueNile.com today. Check that stuff out, boys and girls, especially guys. Like I said, Mother's Day, holidays, a lot of anniversaries. You want to check that stuff out by all means. So
That was a hell of a read, all right.
thank you, buddy. Thank you. Going to take a look at the East. The Bruins have already been having their goalie issues. Tuukka Rask has been on injured reserve, and now Yaroslav Halak is in the COVID protocol. This just came out Monday. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. So Dan Vladar is going to get the reins tonight, and I know he's got another backup after him. So the COVID continuing to wreak havoc throughout the league. But the Buffalo Sabres, we got to give them props. We dumped on them for a month straight. They broke their 18-game losing streak with the 6-1 blowout over who else? The Philadelphia Flyers. They had been 0-15-3 since February 23rd. And they also got a 4-game point streak going, the Sabres do. 2-0-2 in their last 4. So kudos to them. Playoffs probably a little too far away, but
I bet on the Philadelphia Flyers that night.
Goodness.
not much.
First time I bet against the Sabres. No, early in the year I did. They won, and in the streak I didn't until that night, and they lost. And they won.
I was okay with that bet too if you would have told me beforehand, because the night before, didn't they give up a lead early, right? They were down like 3-1, ended up coming back.
No. Oh, no. Philly came back in the third against Buffalo.
Right. So you're thinking, they learned their lesson. They're going to have a better start and take advantage of them tomorrow. And then no.
I couldn't. You know what? I actually texted Merles. I said, guarantee Buffalo wins tonight. I sent him the screenshot of the bet. And he's like, oh, my God. So, of course, he hops on. So we both – it was just so pathetic. Got murdered this week. I think, though, that the Sabres are at least now having some good feelings in their room. We shit on them. Like, there's going to be a lot of guys out of there in the next week. But at least they got to have that end and not be the longest of all time, which is still, I think, the Penguins since salary cap era or whatever. Or they tied them.
Yeah, I had a rough week, too. Even though I had a 72-1 horse, the Wood Memorial race the other day. I literally bet the horse because he was the long shot. Didn't know the name, number. Went checked my TVG account. He won 72-1 long shot. I had him $50 across the board. I ended up picking like five G's up, fucking legit. And
is that degenerate, Wit?
He didn't know the name or the number. Yeah, that's called degenerate.
Well, what I did is my brother liked the horse, so my brother follows him quite a bit. So I went in and bet that horse, and then I was like, "Yeah, I got a few extra bucks here. Let me just throw a shits and giggles in." And I went back to check. I didn't even watch the race. Went back and saw my account had about $6,000 more than it did an hour ago. So
that'd be a nice 3 a.m. wake
still
up
had a
call,
losing
Whit.
week, but
Hey, imagine a piss break to that, Whit. Woo, 72-1.
Oh, mine's the opposite. The other thing about the East, you saw Kyle Palmieri. He is now sitting out. The New Jersey Devils are holding him out. They know they're going to trade him, and I think of the Boston Bruins, right? How much could they use Palmieri? He's lived in Boston a long time in the offseason. I used to work out with him. Hairiest man alive. He's a monster.
Had a knuckles.
Oh my God, palms.
Robin Williams.
I think that a bunch of teams and a lot of folks, I'm going to say folks are leaning towards him being a member of the Islanders in the next week. But there's going to be a bunch of teams that want him and his goal scoring ability. I think he's had 24 goals or more the last 5 or 6 years. So he's guaranteed to play hard and then get in front and being able to score.
Wait, who was the hairiest guy you ever played with? Just like insanely hairy.
Palms, I think.
Oh, was it?
I never played with him. I'm a hairy bastard. Jesus.
Remember Steven Dixon?
Oh, Dickie, dude. He had to shave his knuckles.
Hey,
Like
he used
Robin
to.
Williams.
So
He's
he used
got
to.
long hair now. I saw. He's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a stallion. But he would trim his tricep hairs, and he would always do it. We used to live together, 3 of us, and that was when we were roommates with Carcillo. And he clogged up the drain constantly, and our drain would always be backed up because this dude would be shaving a V-neck too, because he used to wear V-necks. So he would trim it with the clippers, and then he would shave the V-neck line in the hair. Hey, and then
So if the V-neck moved at all when he spilled the drink, you just saw like a monster bush of hair, but you're just like, oh, get that V back to the shaved part.
get the V. Hey, I think he was even using Nair at one point.
Oh my
That
God.
can't be good for you, eh? That's got to be bad for your skin, right?
yeah, it's just going to grow back worse. and
Chemicals
coarser.
burning off your hair. Yeah, it can't be great.
Oh yeah.
I would pay, I don't know, 50 to 100 grand to have every hair removed from like my waist down, just to like be hairless from my waist down.
I don't know, but it looks a little bit weird.
I don't
when
think
you
it
get
would cost
old.
you that. It wouldn't cost you that much, bud.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to get to my nooks and crannies. Might charge me a little extra to get in there.
Screw up.
Would you get your butthole waxed, RA? Would you get
Well,
your
that's what I'm talking. Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. I might have been
Well,
burying the
it
lead a little
doesn't
bit,
cost
but-
you $100,000.
Yeah, well, no, I mean the whole body. Just take fucking all the hair off. Like,
We gotta
He goes in. He's like, "You guys do full body waxes?" They're
Yeah.
like, "For who?" Me. They're like, "Nope."
And can you put a big clump, put it all clumped together like that magnet thing kids play with, and put it on my head when you're done? Remember Wooly Willy, the thing with the magnet, and you can move the
You
guy's
just
hair.
want your cornhole hair on your forehead?
No, I get my leg hair from my head. The cornhole hair, I would fucking donate.
Wait, how much do you think? How much do you think I would have to pay you to wax hole RA's butthole?
He wouldn't sign. He would give back that fucking
Not
Pittsburgh
even
deal before he
answering
did that.
dude. I'd fucking be homeless before I nared his corn. Are you serious? How much? What do you?
Well,
just
somebody
want, like, you just want like $1,000 to do it.
No, it would cost $10,000. I'd wax his butthole.
There's not worse to when you go.
Like, well,
to
it's
the
this
doctor.
watch I want.
All right, would you let me wax your butthole for $10,000?
Wait, you paying me to let you wax it? I'm paying you to wax.
You don't
it.
think
I would-
all right take a free 10 G's for you to wax?
No,
Kelly
I was saying
Clarkson.
I would have to get paid because I'm going through the torture of having to fucking do it.
I
So
think
that's
it
like
sounds
when
like you kind of want to do it.
when you have to go to the doctors and you got to like show them something like that, it's so embarrassing. Like, hey, doctor, like shooting the shit with you. Like, so what's up? I'm like, I need you to look at my cornhole.
Dude, my buddy said one time he had to get like, what do you get in your 5-hole? Hemorrhoids?
Yeah.
Oh,
Dude, he
no.
had to get hemorrhoids removed, and he legit had to lay on his side, and they spread open his ass cheeks to cut these things out. Dude, the 2 nurses, he said, were rockets. Swear to God. He said it was the most embarrassing, degrading. These hot girls were holding his ass cheeks apart so the doctor could cut out a hemorrhoid.
Isn't it like?
Oh my goodness.
Dude.
That
Guys are so stupid too, because like I've had situations where the person coming in is attractive and you're like in a Johnny and your guts hanging out, and it's like, but we're so stupid, guys. Like we think like, I gotta suck in my gut and look better. It's like, dude, you're in a doctor's office. They're fucking seeing people all day. They don't give a fuck how you're not hitting on them. You're not like gonna.
I know it's just.
But all right, they're thinking that's disgusting. Is what you're reasoning for what you're doing is true.
It's funny too.
But the only thing that could make it worse is if you met a girl out and you exchange numbers and then you end up popping in and you maybe thought you had a date lined up and it's the Rocket staring at your hemorrhoids and I don't think you're getting the call back.
or
right? You ain't getting
worse than that is if she like you got home with her and she ripped your shirt off and she's like, "Why is there a V shaved into your chest hair?" And Dickie's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, I can think of a few other embarrassing incidences.
Biz, I'm sorry, wait, you did just mention Palmieri. He's had at least 24 goals in each of his first 5 seasons in New Jersey. Of course, he started his career in Anaheim. And since 15-16, only 5 right wingers have more goals than him. Kane, Pasta, Kucherov, Atkinson, and Tarasenko. So pretty good goal scorer. Somebody's going to pick up. And I know NHL Rumors Daily, who does a great job on Twitter. He gets a lot of good info. He did say Boston is in on him as well. So obviously we'll keep our eyes on that.
Dumbbell benching 125s. Like I think I can do 60s. Like, could you dumbbell bench a 120, 2 125s, Biz?
Not a chance.
No.
Like that's
right now. Yeah, I can't remember last time I did a push-up.
I might be exaggerating. Maybe it was 105s. It was definitely in the 3 digits, though.
That's gnarly.
The Flyers last week waived defenseman Shayne Corson. He did clear waivers. Then he went to the taxi squad. He's got 2 more years left at $4.5 million, $3.25 in real dollars. Philly also signed Michigan sophomore defenseman Cam York. He was their first-round pick in 2019. Signed him to an entry-level deal that starts this season. But Gostisbehere, that was a bit of a shock. He was looked like he was a key part of the future for that Philadelphia team. And I think like with other guys this year, teams are just throwing him out there. If someone wants him, good, then they get the salary off his hands. If not, then they go to the taxi squad, which does give the team a little bit more financial flexibility. So again, no one picked him up, but it's probably not that big of a surprise due to the mention we had earlier about all this cap issue.
Maybe a guy who ends up in Seattle and then like kind of picks it up again. I mean, he came into the league like a rocket, and I remember he was at Union. He was one of the best college hockey players that year, if not the best. They won it all, Grinelli, right? Yes,
they did.
Yeah, so he came in, and maybe his game was figured out a little bit. He is very offensive, probably kind of like struggles defensively. I mean, I don't watch him enough to know exactly what the issues are, but, people say turnovers can be an issue, but like, I don't know, because if you can skate and you have a shot like he does and you get another chance to play more minutes and you're not, I don't think you've seen the end of him yet, but it certainly hasn't been like it looked like it was going to be when he started in the league where you're like, oh man, this guy might be a 50-point guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we've been having the conversation. It feels like every year it's kind of like ever since he got paid the big money, they haven't really, been able to get him playing like that again. And I don't know if it's for like a lack of ice time. Is it Provorov? Is that how I say it properly?
Yes.
I feel like he kind of took over that number one guy there. And like, he's superior. He is. He's just a better player. And like, maybe when you're not getting those reps, it's hard for you to get back in those, that rhythm. Remember when Tomas Kaberle moved over from Toronto when he was playing like 25? And I'm not saying, I don't know if Gostisbehere was ever playing that much, but yeah, when he came in, it just seemed like he was given the full reins and he could do no wrong. And he's never really been that player since.
Yeah.
It's good to see Carter Hart, though. He played really good against the Islanders, I think Sunday or Saturday. And so, like, at least, that's some confidence for him. It's been just such a tough year. My team, the Flyers, I was talking very highly of them. Shockingly, they've done the exact opposite of what I said. That's what I'm known for. That's what I do. I'll give you a team I think is going to light up, and they're going to suck.
Yeah, I think a change of scenery for Gostisbehere will probably maybe rejuvenate his career as well. The Washington Capitals, they swept the New Jersey Devils 8-0 this season, beat them all 8 times. Alexander Ovechkin is now tied for second in power play goals with 265. He's, 9 back of Dave Andreychuk. He's at 725 goals now as well. He's 6 back of Marcel Dion, 5th all time. Ovi just keeps getting it done. Caps keep charging on him. We're also going to give a shout out to the Penguins. They've won 5 straight. They jumped into 3rd place in the division. Their goaltending has really settled down nice, I think, other than the shellacking at the Bruins' hands the other night. DeSmith has been lights out. Jerry's been playing well. So Pittsburgh turning things around.
And quickly, RA, because you mentioned the Ovechkin and what he's done. Barzal with maybe the nastiest hat trick I've ever seen in my life, and I will openly admit I'm starting to worry a little bit about the Islanders. This could be becoming an issue in my brain. They are like such a machine the way they go about things, and then they lose a game, sure as shit, they bounce right back and they'll get you. So Barzal, he scored one on this like ridiculous wraparound on the side of the net. He batted one out of the midair like Mike Trout, just rocket top shelf. And then the other goal, I don't know the order these were in, but he walked through the entire team, including embarrassing Chara at the blue line, and then went shelf going full speed. So he also added 2 assists. I think he was player of the week in the NHL, but that hat trick, he scored 3 goals in 3 completely different ways, and reminding me that the Islanders are starting to scare. You think
they could win the division?
I'm starting to think, like RA said, they could win the cup. That's what I'm really panicking about. I'm not worried about the division.
They're gonna have some tough outs. I would imagine, like maybe getting Boston first round. That's not going to be an easy out.
Yeah, I know, but it's like
no easy outs come playoff.
And missing Anders Lee's a huge loss, so they're going to have to go out and do something. And Lou will do something. He'll get somebody, because I think he sees. And you guys, one of you said last week, when he sees he has a chance to win, he's going for it.
Yeah. That's why I thought
fucking Islanders.
Palmieri to Boston. I thought the Islanders were a little hornier for a guy like that.
No, they are.
Yeah, sure. A lot of teams are in on them. They want to build for a long playoff run. Go ahead, Biz.
You consider Philly the Calgary of the East? You think they're done?
Yep. I think that the 4 teams are pretty much set there. I mean, Boston's kind of worried a little bit, but I think New York's they've picked it up too much too late, or too little too late. Holy shit. What's the saying?
Too much too
good enough
little
for me.
Too late.
I know what you meant.
Too little too late. There we go. And then Philly stinks, and the Devils stink, and the Sabres are embarrassing. So we'll see.
Yeah, you want to build for a long run. You want to get a good long run in, Biz, and hey, most guys have tried different ways to last longer and go longer, but thinking about games in hand or point percentage doesn't always work. Oh, the folks at Roman, an online men's health company, are changing the game with Roman Swipes, the secret to longer lasting sex. Roman Swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and fast acting. And the best part, they do not require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipes packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. These things are super easy to use. You just take the swipes out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry, and like Bobby Brown said, you're good to go. That's it. So go to getroman.com/chicklets and you get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. So worth it, guys. Check it out. You can recalibrate your system with these things. Go to getroman.com/chicklets and, be a champ in the bedroom. All right, gang. The West, we already did mention Colorado, but they've been on fire lately. They had a 4-0 week, points in 14 straight games, 12-0-2 in that time. 7 straight games with at least 4 goals during that streak. A little Frank the Tank action going on from Colorado right now. 4-point lead over Vegas. Vegas been scuffling a little bit. They had their first 3-game losing streak of the season. They were swept by Mini this week as well. And Mini keeps chugging along. They got swept by San Jose. Mini did. Then they went and swept Vegas in Vegas. They're very comfortably in 3rd place in the division. Cam Talbot was absolutely out of his mind in Vegas. And Biz, we got to give credit to your boys, the Arizona Coyotes.
Yep.
They've, won 5 out of 6 to leapfrog the slumping Blues. They're right now in 4th place with 41 points, 3-point lead over St. Louis. Jacob Chikrin got his first career Hattie Sunday night, a 3-2 win over the Ducks. Biz, what do you got for us?
Well, lots happening. Like San Jose's all of a sudden came out of nowhere. They're playing some pretty good hockey. We'll get to them after. As far as the Coyotes are concerned, fuck, man, just finding ways to – you mentioned, Washington beating New Jersey all 8 times. Is that what you said?
Yes.
I feel like the Coyotes are being like they're taking advantage of all the bottom dwellers, especially Anaheim. And I feel like in every game they've came from behind too. And the other night they didn't play so great, but Jacob Chikrin, I've been talking about him. I've been pumping him up. He gets his first hat trick, scores the OT winner too, and 12 goals now. He's tied with the lead with Darnell Nurse. So they're just getting some great contributions from the back end. Oliver's playing solid. Aiden Hill's been great. And they're just finding ways to win. I mean, they got shellacked by Colorado. Colorado owns their number where they just embarrass them every time. I don't know how they're going to be able to figure that out.
They embarrass everyone, though.
That's true. But I mean, 9-3 is a bit much. 5 goals in the first. Ouch. But But who cares? As long as they're taking care of the business outside of like the Vegases and Colorados, like they got LA tonight. So I'm interested to see how they keep going. They're 3 points in a playoff spot. And a big reason for that is because St. Louis has taken a massive dump. Holy shit.
And this is Monday. Binnington's not getting the start tonight, which was kind of surprising. He got off he's doing the extra work after the morning skate. And I think that the problem for the Blues, their next 12 or 13 games are against teams that are in the playoffs right now in their division. So it's Colorado. It's dealing with teams that you're like, oh, fuck. We didn't want to play Minnesota this often, right? Like, we didn't want to have to deal with these teams who are looking as way better than we've looked in the last little while. So it's surprising. I mean, Parayko's been out. He wasn't playing well, but you still miss him, right? You still miss the minutes he can play. He skated today, so hopefully he's able to come back. But offensively, everything's just dried up. And it's like, I don't know if the Coyotes can keep this up. The one thing I'll say about the Yotes, your team, I don't know if this year's like it's almost hurting them because they have 0 draft picks.
Yeah.
So you'd almost like wonder if in a normal year, like would they be like trying to maybe obtain some draft picks by moving some guys, but they feel like they got to go for it where they're at. It's just kind of like unfortunate for what happened to their draft future with the former GM there and what he left them with because they have nothing.
Like Garland, like for instance.
And why are they talking about possibly trading him?
Well, because they got to sign him next year, right? I don't know what he's going to command, right? You would definitely put him on par with Keller as far as performance, if not maybe even a little bit more superior in the way he's able to create on his own more. And I would say he's probably our best forward overall. So you're thinking, well, what is he going to ask for? And at this particular moment, based on what he can provide, how many teams can get a guy that's producing like him at $750,000? That's like the fourth liners are going to pick up at the deadline are making more. And in a year where the cap is so important, he's so much more valuable. I wouldn't give him up anything less than a first rounder and maybe even a prospect.
Yeah, whoever's getting him though realizes that he's RFA, but we got to then sign him. So if you're trading a first rounder and something else, it's like, all right, well, we have to make sure we get the guy signed.
Yeah, that would be a stipulation that's done before the trade. But yeah, it would suck given the fact that they are in a playoff spot right now. But I agree with you. I think that any asset they can move in order to gain draft picks, do it.
And still try to make it with what you got.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy to fill Goose's hole. If Alex Goligoski gets moved as like a number 6 guy, because we talked about last pod, he's transferred into that like penalty killer, shot blocker. He can eat you up 15 to 18 consistent minutes of where he's not making a ton of bonehead mistakes.
Yeah.
He's a decent puck mover. What are teams going to value that at this point? Jarmelson, I don't know. He's got experience, but he's got a no move clause. Don't know how that's going to work out. So, but yeah, I'm sure they're going to try to get crafty here towards the deadline.
Yeah, the Blues have lost 6 straight, 0-5-1 on that time. Just 2 wins in their last 13 games. So, yeah, I think everybody expected a lot more out of them. Biz, you did mention the Sharks. This is another team we basically almost had a funeral for on this podcast a few weeks ago. Well, they had a 4-0 week. They swept Minnesota, like I just said. Then they swept the Kings. They're just 3 points back of a playoff spot. And this is all because of Martin Jones, man. Here's another guy we called out earlier this season. Versus the Kings this year, 5-1 with a 2.37 goals against, 9.32 save percentage and a shutout. His save percentage has been ridiculous lately. 7-1-1 in his last 9 games with a 9.34. This is the Martin Jones that a lot of people liked years ago when he first got to San Jose when they went to that cup run. And, he's been kind of disappearing. But if he can keep this up, San Jose could possibly sneak into the playoffs. We did get an all-time quote from Erik Karlsson, who, by the way, his play has stepped up as well. He was asked after scoring 2 goals and the shootout winner if it was the best offensive game he had ever played. Gee, you want to run that?
All right, Eric, is that the best offensive game you've ever had? 2 goals and essentially a hat trick when the game winner in the shootout?
Not even close.
Like not even close, but like chomping on the apple and the guy's face at the same time. Just like, I don't know if it's a power move. That's a stupid thing to say, but just fucking hilarious. Like not even close.
That'd be me asking a question like that if I was the one stuck on the Zoom call asking it, where like the player would be like, "No, you fucking loser." I'd be like, "Fuck!"
And you thought it was just you thought it was a great question. You're like, "I got the best question for post game."
Yeah, just running up to my computer, like down the hall, down the press level, just be like, I'm about to hit it out of the park and then fucking dunk on your face.
Hey, at least he got a fucking quote to use anyways. But any other notes from that division, boys, you want to share before we get to the et cetera portion of the show?
No, interesting to see what will happen at the deadline. I don't think Vegas or Colorado are doing much, right? Both those teams, I think, are they can win the Stanley Cup with what they have. They'll probably look around and see what's going, but they have no room either, Vegas. So it wouldn't be surprised me if they do something because they always seem to, but they really have – they'd have to move. It'd be money for money. So we'll see what happens, but the next week's going to be entertaining.
No doubt about it. Hey, Biz, I know it's already hot where you are, and it's getting hotter here in the Northeast. That means swass and sweaty balls and powder and chafing. Ugh.
The worst.
The worst. Absolute worst. But that's why you guys should be wearing Saxx, S-A-X-X. They make the world's best underwear thanks to their patented ballpark pouch, which is basically a built-in hammock to keep your balls in place. No sticking or chafing or irritation.
I got a pair with elephants on it.
Oh.
Speaking of elephants, it's my favorite pair of undies, blue with big old gray elephants on it. Saxx, the most comfortable underwear I've ever worn. No doubt. All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I had to shout out the elephant undies.
The ball sack hammock.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, my ball sack's not exactly big enough to need its own hammock. I wish it was, but I still love the Saxx.
Yeah, give it a few years. Gravity will do its thing. Also, they just launched their new Hot Shot cooling underwear. You heard that, right? It's actually underwear that cools down your balls via evaporative cooling. Science, yo. And the little mesh panels optimize airflow to keep your nuggets supported and chafe-free. Biz, I think you got a pair of these with the panels on the side for that Arizona heat.
I got them. I got them all. I got a nice shipment.
There you go. And you got nothing to lose because Saxx offers a 45-day comfort guarantee. If you try them and you don't love them, you can return them. No strings attached. Your boys deserve better this summer. So grab yourself a pair of Saxx's new Hot Shot boxes. Use the code Chiclets for 10% off your first order plus free shipping. So go to saxx.com. And remember, for 10% off and free shipping, use the code Chiclets when you go to saxx.com. Once again, the code Chiclets, Chiclets. Okay, boys, we do have some sad news to kick off this portion of the program. We want to send our deepest sympathies to the family, friends, and teammates of Pat Romano. Pat played hockey at Niagara University and tragically lost his life at just 23 years old. It was a off-campus house fire he lost his life in. Just devastating news to hear. We didn't know Pat, but we were told that he was a beloved teammate as well as a big fan of the show, and Pink Whitney as well. So we wanted to acknowledge his terrible loss and again, give our deepest condolences to his family, friends, and teammates. This isn't how life is supposed to go. Unfortunately, these things happen, and we have to deal with them. And we were just heartbroken to hear about Pat. So again, we want to convey our sympathies to everybody who knew Pat, and we're terribly sorry to hear that. So okay, guys, and moving down the list here, we saw the Hobey Baker finalists were announced as well this week on Thursday. Wisconsin's Cole Caulfield, who is now a Habs prospect, University of North Dakota forward Shane Pinto, who had just signed his entry-level deal with Ottawa last week, and goalie Dryden McKay of Minnesota State. That's an interesting first name for a goalie. He's coming off a 21-3 season with a 139 goals against, 931 save percentage, 10 shutouts. He had 24 shutouts in 3 seasons, second only behind Ryan Miller's 26. But this kid is an undrafted free agent and can sign anywhere once his season ends. He's still in the Frozen Four. But that's crazy, man, to have this kid has those kind of numbers and nobody's drafting him. So you got to imagine again.
He's going to have his choice. He's going to have a lot of options. That's when it's the ultimate is when if you don't get drafted kind of high, sometimes an agent will say, oh, you're better off not getting drafted. Then you can really pick whoever wants you if you really pop off. And certainly this kid has. It's cool for him to be the only Hobey Baker finalist still playing as well.
Yeah.
That's like the ultimate college campus walkthrough experience. If you're getting, all these NHL teams, let's say you have 5 interested. You're like, okay, send the PJ. Let's do a lunch. Let's talk about put me up at the 4 Seasons. Maybe I'll consider. Remember when Jimmy VC was on his tour? He had like it kind of there was a bit of a process there. No.
Oh yeah,
and it was the
get the surf and turf.
It was like he was like LeBron that year. We say to him, the decision.
Hey, you get the surf and turf at every meal. Just yeah.
Let's see, 2022 Men's Olympic Team USA named its GM and assistant GM. Stan Bowman's going to be the general manager, and Billy Guerin's going to be the assistant general manager. I don't know how Chief took this news. We'll have to check on him. Anything Stan related, he has a conniption over. But congrats to those 2 guys. Obviously, 3/4 of the show will be pulling for Team USA and the Olympics next year. Trade deadline just a week away, boys, a week from today. So we're going to have hopefully some stuff to talk about. Emily Kaplan had a story the other day. She reported that nobody wants to take on money right now, which is kind of what we were just saying. Retained salary is going to be a theme that we're probably going to hear a lot going forward, but not much movement yet. You got to wonder again how much the flat cap is going to restrict movement going forward, but hopefully we'll have some trades to talk about. Well, either way, the golf season is in full swing. We got the Masters coming up this week, and now is the perfect time to get out on the course. If you're Whitney, you never left. You're trying to book a tee time right now? Look no further as we are officially announcing the launch of the Barstool Golf Time app. In partnership with Supreme Golf, the Barstool Golf Time app allows you to book tee times at thousands of courses. After you book, take a picture or video of the course you're on and submit it for an official review. Riggs, Frankie, Trent, and Lurch's reviews are all in the app as well, so you can join and right along with your friends and do the same. There's other cool features as well, such as the Barstool Golf Rewards to get free merch. We're going to be rolling that out soon, so don't be a pigeon. Download the Barstool Golf app today, now available in the App Store. The Wit Dog, like I just said, Masters around the corner. We just did a sandbagger. What do we do first, sandbagger Masters? You're the golf guy.
Sandbagger is just, we kind of really did it before. It's just, like, how many times can you say it's like, I need to learn how to putt. I used to be a good putter, and then I've said this, like my ball striking got better, and then my putting's fallen off a cliff. If somebody's like, do you practice putting? I'm like, not really. I would have no idea how to practice putting. I'd have 2 balls on the putting range and be putting around. It's like, I don't know. I need to learn how to do it, because you when you can't putt, you have no chance to continue momentum in rounds. It's like, you have birdie putts, you miss. Well, then all of a sudden, the birdie putt's a 7-foot par save. You miss that, you're making bogeys. You haven't created any wiggle room with birdies. You're not winning any holes when we're in these sandbaggers. So my putting is fucking atrocious. It's disgusting. The other day I played, I had 36 putts. I shot 75. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? So, I mean, the Biz, you were awful. Awful. Yeah, but we're working towards you getting lessons. Biz and I had a long talk in Jupiter that it's like time to really even hop into the video side of you getting good at golf. You're an athlete. I know it can happen. But moving on to the Masters, Jordan Spieth gets it done. And I am a huge Jordan Spieth guy. Always have been. My buddy Mike Riley, rest in peace. Love that kid. I talked about him, he passed away. He hated Spieth, and we used to battle back and forth. He's like, he's always whining, and he talks so much to his caddy, and I just enjoy all of it. He's very vocal on the course where he's yelling at his ball. He's talking to the caddy, Michael Greller, very intensely, where they're discussing shot options, and he's just like kind of a showman a little bit, but he gives thoughtful, legit answers in interviews. He's very well spoken, and he dominates Augusta. So he finally wins for the first time in 4 years, and then he's going to the course that he seems to always be in the hunt. Look out. What do you think of him, Biz?
Well, I think you nailed it. He's a bit he's a showman. And I did notice from watching yesterday, I mentioned that I was at Wiz's place with Kami, as I was getting a little annoyed that before shots, sometimes he would like back away, like switch the club, be talking to his caddy. And I'm like, other guys just seem to like step up and hit the ball. And he was playing against that Hoffman, who seems like an absolute beauty.
Yeah, he seems like a legend, Charlie Hoffman. He's been on he used to have a mullet, Biz.
Yeah, that's what they said. They said he looked like the all-American like dude, just like out there playing golf.
Like Joe Dirt, kind of.
Yeah. And I asked the guys, they said he's made about $30 million on tour in his career.
Yeah. And he's been in the hunt at Augusta too, Charlie Hoffman.
But going back to Spieth is I did notice that he's a bit of a showman out there. And like, I guess I really, after hearing you talk about it, you're kind of like, well, it's like nice. It's like a different type of personality. But I do respect the fact that he's so open and honest in interviews, where it's like, okay, well, at least he's able to get up there and say it, where it can't be perceived as bad as it maybe is at sometimes.
And golfers are such like, I don't know remotely what it takes to become a professional golfer. Now, I'm guessing there's sort of like, you never want to show weakness, right? Like Brooks Koepka, the ultimate hardo, right? Like, I don't practice golf. Like, you know, he's just, Spieth's the exact opposite, where he lost his game, right, for one of the best in the world, but he dropped out of the top 50 in the world. He was number 1 at a time, and he's talking to like media and like truthfully saying, like, I don't know where the ball's going. I have a two-way miss. My putting isn't there. And it's like, it's so refreshing to hear what every person who loves golf goes through, whether you're a 20 handicap or you're a scratch golfer or you're a +6 professional tour member. Every single guy has moments in their career or in their life where you're kind of lost and you don't know where the ball's going, like he says. And so to hear the highest level say it, I've just always enjoyed how in-depth you go into his career. It makes me more of a fan of his.
Do you think during this period of time where he hadn't won that it got like when you're watching him, there are a lot of like kind of, and that's where maybe people got a little bit like, this isn't really fun.
People have always kind of just, some people have just like been so annoyed at like how he is and how vocal he is and when he's yelling at his ball and how disappointed he gets like after a bad shot. And I don't know, it's like to each his own in terms of what you root for, what type of athlete you want to watch. Are you a strong silent type fan, or you want to see a guy who you're living with the highs and lows of every shot? So that's kind of what he does. Masters week, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it. And Mikey, can we talk about, I got a Barstool Sportsbook bet going up. Can we talk about that or no?
Yes, absolutely. Pump the hell out of that.
Yeah, so I have a bet going on. I'm going to pick 5 guys, and you have to just have one of them finish in the top 5. And the odds are going to be boosted. And if you hop in on this bet, you're going to get a limited edition, fresh, Pink Whitney Masters hoodie.
Oh, wow.
All-time piece of merchandise.
This thing's sick. So I know there's only certain states that right now you can do it with, but that bet will be brought to you soon. I think, RA, you obviously throw in some money on maybe some long shots.
Oh, my God. I'm drooling right now looking at the list. Like, there's so many bombers out there. And, I mean, we haven't had a huge one come in lately. Actually, I think someone hit 50 to 1 not too long ago, but I'm drooling, man. Like, these are named golfers at like 250 to 1, 100 to 1. I just got a feeling one of these guys is going to come in soon with a huge bomber. I'm going to sprinkle the infield.
I look at like Shoffley's 22 to 1. He's going to win a major.
Dude,
at some
Jason
point.
Day, 75 to 1. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility he would win this tournament. I don't know how he's been playing lately. I don't keep track like you do, but I don't know. This Harris English, 125 to 1. I hear his name from my golf buddies here on there. So I'm definitely going to be sprinkling the infield before they kick off, because that's the best time to get these great odds.
Who do you like the most going in with, like outright?
So I don't know the last time. I should know the last time somebody repeated at Augusta. It does not happen often, though. So I'm not going to pick DJ. I think DJ's putting has been a little weak leading up to this tournament. That's just kind of what I saw on Golf Channel. Man, I like Spieth, and then he went. I will put it this way. Going into the final round on Sunday, I say Spieth's in the mix. So I don't know about who's going to win. But then if I'm looking at other guys, like in terms of all the favorites, like I don't know, when Justin Thomas won the Players and how like he's one of the best players in the world, and it seems like his time is like really coming. He's got one major PGA. I think he could get it done. But this tournament is so crazy because you got to putt so well. And in November, when there was most recently played the delayed one from COVID, and DJ shot 20 under, you might see a under 10 under winner this year because they're going to want the course to play different. I don't think the members and the tournament committee at Augusta wants a 20 under winner. They want an between 8 and 11 under. So you're going to see harder golf. So I think my pick is Justin Thomas to get the win, but I think Spieth's going to be right there.
Nice. That Justin Thomas is small. Eh? He's like one of the smallest guys on tour, isn't he?
They're all small, dude. Rory's tiny. They are like very short. Now they're so fast twitch, dude. They got that though, and they just coil up and wind up, and they're almost off their feet at impact. Some of these guys.
One last golf note before we move it over to Grinelli. Pasha is going to decapitate somebody with one of those drones. If you guys keep that up, way too fucking.
That's the goal.
They are so loud. The loudest thing in your ear you can imagine is a Pasha drone.
Oh, hilarious.
I got one last golf question for Whit. Who would you say is the most dramatic on tour as far as a golfer?
Bryson.
Oh, when he plays, it's just like he's the guy. Okay.
He's just so painful. He's just dropping the sponsors every interview. People get so mad when I make fun of him online. Like there are some staunch defenders. And
is he like the NASCAR guy on the tour? Like
I don't know how to describe him. Like he's just like he released a video recently on TikTok of him like running out to the garage and like screaming as he's lifting weights. He's just a goon. But I've always said what he did and just changing his body and like transforming himself to this long drive, amazing putter champion is so impressive. But him just off the course, like personality wise, he's like complete tomatoes, if you ask me.
Great answer. Great answer.
Gee, I know you had something for us. The Sonk. Let's fill the listeners in.
Yes, it's something that Hank and I and Brian Fitzsimmons have been working on for a little while now. For those who don't,
cryptocurrency.
Fuck, the Sonk crypto would be unbelievable. We should start that. But the Sonk, which is Play Barstool's new free-to-play game where NHL fans can answer 6 questions for a chance to win the Progressive Jackpot. Now, what is the Progressive Jackpot, you ask, Biz? Well, it starts at $2,500 for the first contest. And when someone does not win the jackpot in a given contest, that $2,500 is added to the next contest jackpot. When someone wins the Progressive Jackpot, the jackpot amount is reset to $2,500 the following contest. So when does this all kick off? Well, we'll do this on Tuesdays and Fridays, and the first contest will begin Friday, April 9th. Contest 1 calls for fans to predict the final score of the Oilers Senators, Bruins versus Flyers, and Leafs versus Canadiens games. And they also have to predict if Leon Draisaitl, Kevin Hayes, and Austin Matthews will all score goals. Now, where can you find this app? You can download this at the Play Barstool app in the App Store.
This is free?
Yeah, it's free. Wow. It's free. Free money, baby, at playbarstool.com.
Why wouldn't you play? Why wouldn't you play?
Exactly.
I'm playing.
Win $2,500 just for free. You can win more because the Progressive Jackpot just keeps adding up and adding up. And it's so cool. You can pick who's going to score. It's just a fun way to get interactive with hockey. It's not gambling. It's a little different, but it's fun.
Good job, boys. Shout out Hank.
Absolutely.
Shout out Hank. He's a genius, man. That kid, working with him behind the scenes, you see how smart he actually is. But the whole team.
Hank's dad is like the captain of my buddy's like pickleball team. Or what's the other? It's not pickleball. It's outside, but they got the walls around you.
Badminton,
squash,
racquetball.
It's different. It's called something else. But Hank's dad is the captain of my buddy's team and sends emails about how to attack the other players on the other team, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are. The email exchange is ridiculous. Mr. Lockwood just looking for a title.
Guys are just like, yeah, but I just want to sweat. I don't need a scout report. Yeah,
he's like he has a tough little backhand, so force him to his right side where you know he's not going to be able to handle the heat.
Sweep the leg.
Sign Hank's dad.
Sweep the leg.
And I know you boys want to talk about Operation Varsity Blues that was on Netflix a couple weeks back. It was about the college admission scandal, didn't you guys?
Oh my God, I watched that. Oh. It is so nice to see people like that get taken down because what a bunch of assholes. I think we talked about it when the whole story broke. These rich assholes who literally have no respect for their kids and making them actually go out and accomplish things that like they want to get done and instead just cheating your way into getting these kids into schools they had no business to get. And the crazy thing is watching the documentary, the guy, I think it's Rick Singer was his name. Dude, so he got busted and he's like, all right, listen, I'll give you every single person that I helped break the rules and break the law. And he won't be charged or brought to trial till all of the people that he gave up are like actually done and taken care of, whether they pleaded guilty, not guilty, whether they got time or didn't. And I bet you at the end, he doesn't get anything done to him because he's like, they got him. All right. Well, I think they'd much rather go after the rich celebrities that are just cheating the system and screwing over any hardworking kid who had a chance to get into a school because they want to pay for their kid to just go to USC. It was like, I don't know. I was just disgusted by that.
Yeah, it was a tough scene. And go after the people that could probably actually afford to pay the fines that they have to pay.
It's just like crazy as a parent. Like, what are you doing for your kid? Like you're not
Bananas.
doing, you're setting them back. If anything, it's like, and I felt bad for some of the kids because they didn't even know.
They didn't even know.
That's what's crazy is, and it's like they're spending fucking $500,000, $1 million to get a kid in college, to go to Southern Cal. I mean, I guess it's tough to get in Southern Cal, but
I didn't know that either. How
big
hard
fucking deal. You want your kid to go to the same school as OJ, and you're going to spend that kind of money. Yeah, just a lot of rich assholes. I wasn't crazy about the
OJ getting shout outs back-to-back weeks on our podcast.
Look out. I wasn't a huge fan of the documentary format. I kind of like my documentaries talking head style. Like, I didn't like the whole Matthew. It was like a movie, like Matthew.
Oh,
Modine.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
because he was so good at acting like, and just the fact that they had the actual recordings, so the conversations were real, is what I liked. Because they said, I think at the beginning of the movie, that any conversation he had was basically them taking a recording and just making
I thought
it
dumbed
style.
it down to where it was easier to understand it all. Like, obviously, you know, if I get what you're saying, RA, there's different types of documentary. I was surprised at first because I didn't understand it. And then it finally clicked in like, oh, they're just reenacting this. But they did look fairly similar, and the interactions seemed very genuine. And yeah, I think I knew everything that I needed to know. I didn't want to hear too much of like the tapes and shit.
Well, the funny thing was too is like, I think he got brought down because another guy got busted, and was it some financial guy? And he's all of a sudden those people just start saying whatever they know. They're like, hey, I can give you this and this. It was like just the house of cards came crumbling down, but a crazy story. I enjoyed watching it.
Biz, I know the nice guys got a huge bump in the last week. I ended up writing a blog about it, and the numbers that blog did were absolutely insane. I couldn't believe that many people were tweeting it and watched it. And did you end up finishing it, Biz? I know you said you stopped.
No, so I fell asleep, and no offense to the movie either, because I loved it. It's the interactions are incredible. You would never think that those two on camera would work, even going in. Their chemistry was second to none, and I feel like it's the type of movie. And remind you, you know, I'm not usually the first guy to get the whole movie the first time I watch it, but I feel like you could watch that thing 20 times and still pick up new things that are happening. There are so many different little things to pick up. It was like system overload for me.
That's what I wrote in my blog. I compared it to like the Big Lebowski, insofar as the more you watch it, the better it gets, the funnier it gets, the more like little jokes you pick up. I mean, because I probably watched it 10 times. It's absolute hilarious movie. Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
No, but I will. Ted Lasso on that same night.
Ted Lasso. Shout out to my boy Jason Sudeikis. He won the SAG Sunday night. Some pretty tough competition, but he got the award for best. I think it was best comedy actor, best actor. Ted Lasso, man, he's racking up the awards. Love to see it.
Guys, before we go, we're talking about entertaining content. We got to mention Barstool Sports has entered the true crime. With Kirk
my boy Minahan
with the Case podcast. I mean, just real quick, on the evening of November 14th, 1989, 16-year-old Jennifer Fay was supposed to be babysitting. She had other plans. She snuck out of her house in Brockton, Mass, looking for a party. She was never seen again. So Kirk's done an unbelievable job with this podcast, breaking down, what actually happened, all the corruption and all the craziness that went on behind the scenes. So that released today, Monday. Check it out if you get the chance.
Love
Good
that.
stuff. And also the Pink Whitney Cup. We're going to be dropping episodes all week. I believe number 2 is dropping Monday night. And make sure you check out our YouTube page, Spittin Chiclets YouTube page. That's where all our sandbaggers are.
Subscribe, baby. Subscribe.
As all the videos of me making an ass of myself during our road trips. Feel free to check them out. Boys, any other final notes before we wrap up this fun episode?
I think we all make fools of ourselves on those videos, RA, so you're not alone in that.
I appreciate that.
And no worries. Team game. No, I'm looking forward to this week. Obviously Masters Week is very special. I love that tournament. I think anyone who even doesn't like golf enjoys Masters Week. But also, this is a week of some major NHL drama in terms of the deadline. So the next time we talk to you guys will be after the deadline. We'll know who made moves, who tried to go on a little bit of run, and who decided to sell. Calgary Flames, I'm looking at you. I appreciate everyone listening as always. I love you guys. And Biz, did I not interrupt anyone today?
You were awesome. I think
Thanks,
I
bro.
interrupted a few people as usual. The last thing I had in my notes was I watched that Eric Andre, the new movie he did. I think it's called Bad Trip.
I don't know who that is.
Have you watched that, Grinelli? Or you have, RA?
I had it in the notes. I haven't watched it yet, though.
Do you want to just table that, Biz, for next week and we can all watch it?
Sure.
All right, I'm in, Biz.
Should I take it back out or no?
No, I got Ted Lasso, I got Nice Guys, and I got Bad Language.
That's our assignment for next week. And if you want to check out Thief too, that's another old one I recommended. Got some good.
Oh,
I
now
just
we're
want to
overloaded
honestly,
on
I
movies.
just want to sign on and just watch that guy pound an octopus. That's what I'm going to do right now.
This was a fun pod. Good seeing you.